anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fight. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fight. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wide, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. So we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wide, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, outside winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wide, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wide, and handsome. Ain't
Well, hello,
telling you
hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. We are here once again for another live, and we got the collared shirt on. We got the Only You Can Prevent Forest Fires hat on. We're thinking of making some of these. We got another special hat coming here very soon. Not sure how many people are in the chat just yet. Hold on, let me make sure that chat is a little cleared up there. Put that close marker out there. We just started out here, just got on the phone a little behind. We went live at 6 Central, 7 Eastern, but it took us about 10 minutes to share it around, get it out there. If you haven't shared the video, do it yourself as well. But we do have on the line with us today people, when I put it out, said I've been waiting for this day. They followed the Chaz. They know my ways of thinking. And apparently, Dwayne, we have the man himself on the other end of the line. Dewayne Keith is here. How's it going there, sir?
I am good, big homie Chaz, man. I'm kind of I'm going to see how this going to go here because I've heard a lot of podcasts before. So that's like, are we ready for Dewayne Keith in this type of environment now?
Now, what do you mean environment? That's a big word now in today's society, environment.
Well, I should say a little more of that realness and that rawness that people haven't gotten an opportunity to get out of me. So that's where I want to see how this is going to transpire out into the world now. So,
well, I mean,
yeah.
there has been a lot of changes with you recently, I guess, right? I mean, after the situation at Southern Raceway that you were announcing, you kind of said, and from my understanding, it wasn't about that situation in particular, but you kind of said you're not announcing no more with the Southern All-Stars, even though some people consider you the greatest announcer dirt racing has. I mean, I got one guy, maybe it's because he used to be a professional wrestler, but he said that guy who does Southern All-Stars is the best thing going. And now you're done, apparently, correct?
Well, I had some good people that talked me off the ledge. It was like, you know what, I ain't got time for this kind of crap. I can do other things. I can go chase hoes and do other stuff in life, but I had a good core people that came and just like, this too shall pass, and so I'm going to stick it out for a little bit longer here.
Okay, so what was it that actually got you to consider quitting? I mean, a lot of people would assume that it had to do something with that Winger GR Smith situation, which you've been around. I mean, a lot. Those are two drivers that are in your backwoods who are prevalent. Obviously, GR Smith's had a lot of money, so anytime you got a lot of money in racing, everybody knows who you are.
That's very true.
Why do you laugh? Hold on, I want to know why you just laughed at that. Why do you laugh when you say that's very true? Because everybody's hoeing out themselves. Just say it, Dwayne. Everybody in racing is hoeing out.
Nah, I wouldn't say they out there hoeing out, man. It's a lot of egos when it comes to this sport. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but there's a lot of egos in it. And sometimes money can help perpetuate that ego that it push out on people. There are some people that are mild-mannered, humbled, yada, yada, that kind of thing. Then there's some, and this is definitely not even GR. GR is actually, he's actually a pretty good guy. I've known GR for the last few years, talked with him on a regular basis. This is definitely not even a shot at GR, but it's just, I guess it's just that aura that these guys go out with, or they got this BDE kind of energy. People don't know that is this big dick energy kind of deal, but it's whatever,
Now, when you say big dick energy, what do you mean? Like they just kind of act bigger than everybody in the society just because they have that money and have that ability to tell everyone to shut the fuck up, or what?
The thing is that they can, and it's kind of like, what the hell are you going to do about it? Like, I can't do that about you. That's you, boss. That's you, bro. That's who you is. But I'm not hating on nobody for having that. But that's just, it comes with the territory, Some they just got that type of aura to them.
Well, and it's not just in I always say the racing world's a microcosm of the actual world, because you can go to any nightclub or club or any situation and find those types of guys.
That's it.
And women nowadays, hold on, let's not be sexist here. And women nowadays, if they got that,
Hey, it is 2023. But yeah, if that's what they want to do, just let them do it. I ain't even finna hate on the person for being who they are, because I am unapologetically me. And I don't hold nothing back for what I say or what I do or what actions I do, because it's just genuinely me. I don't try to hide or put up a front or nothing like that. It's just who I am, and that's who I always be. I've never understood the notion that, I got to create an image that is acceptable for people to like or what it is. It's just, I am who I am. I can't take back who I am. This is the way God made me. I am who I am, and I'm going to do what I do.
Right, and I feel like some people try to break that. They try to break the ones that are honest and real. They try to break them with either monetarily or embarrassment. They just try to seem to it seems like there's a group or a certain type of person that likes to break a person's ability to be themselves in a way.
That's true. I mean, I haven't ran in the motorsports world, really haven't as much ran into that type of situation. There are those that, as my perception, I may perceive that there may be like, we don't want to rock with you because of you might be a little more, you speak a little more urban than what our normal crowd is, or you might be a little more out there in your.
Well, that just sounds like silent racism to me. That's what that sounds like. I mean,
more haterism, but.
Well, we are in a sport.
Side,
we are in a sport
that's.
I mean, we are in a sport that is basically the closest thing we have to a public clan meeting when it comes to that scenario. I mean, it's pretty one-sided.
And that's what makes it a hard argument, because this is a predominantly a Caucasian male sport. It is what it is. It's born in the South, expanded out for the rest of the nation. But for the most part, this is a Caucasianly male-dominated sport. Now, yes, we have had women and minorities and people of different walks of life that have entered into this sport, but a lot of them haven't been able to get to a level where, I guess, for longevity should be more the word I'm trying to look for, or get to a position. Once they get to a position, they're here today, gone tomorrow. So it's been kind of that workable deal. That's why I won't say like a clan meeting. I mean, yes, we got.
Oh, that's a joke, obviously. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, I want folks getting on the wrong side of that, because the next thing you know, I'm going to pull up a racetrack and be hanging off a tree somewhere.
No. You're in deliverance country, sir. That's what happens down there. Deliverance happens down there.
Yeah, but the good thing is, at least I'll probably make CNN for something.
Oh, well, that's
whatnot, or a Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson special, whatever. I mean, that's what it is. But
now, do you think that's because of generation? I've kind of said that's because of generational wealth, that there's a lack of other kind of ethnicities in the sport, because everybody wants to watch something that they can do, and even though I still kind of believe that society is not separated based on skin color. I think it's separated. Me personally, I think it's separated on segregated on wealth, classes. I think classism is how most people are separated. You get treated by a certain way based on how much money you got, and that's the only color that really matters. It don't matter if you're male, female, this, that, or the other. That's my belief. But when it comes to that, there is, historically speaking, situations that has hindered other races outside of the white race or Caucasian race. That was a very nice way for you to frame it. I just say white guys. That has restricted other ethnicities to have generational wealth. And since we don't have a lot of generational wealth in other ethnicities, it's really hard to get people involved in the sport, because once you walk in and figure out how much money you actually need to be out there in a damn street stock, and that's almost unbelievable to accomplish. That's why I stand up so much for the dirt track racer in this racing world not getting enough respect. In a way, they are the lower form. I always was against the grassroots label for this dirt track racing world, because I always thought of it like it's their lower form representation. You're just the weakly little bums. But it takes so much work and effort to even get out there that you have to be extremely privileged to be one of these NASCAR guys that got to be in super late models at 14. Like, that's not realistic for most people. It's just not.
That's very true, but the key, I could agree to an extent on that when it's what you're saying, but the whole generational thing is that, honestly, African Americans have been the ones that is later in life that have started getting there. Like, we kind of started later into the game. And this was a sport. The general attitude just amongst most African Americans that I've spoken with and dealt with over my lifetime is that as much as I go and campaign like, hey guys, y'all need to come out and racetrack, it's fun, it's what's up. I show videos of super late models and racing and everything, and that it gets some hype, but that stigmatism of the old South runs still rampant into the minds of a lot of people because that's what's been perpetuated towards people. Well, I'm like, they're not like that anymore for the most part. They're not like that. And it's still like, nah, I ain't going down there, and I'm not going to go down there and be around all the rednecks. And I don't know if I'm going to come out alive. I don't know about my safety. I'm like, dude, I've been going since I was bare enough over to walk talking shit. And
right.
and I'm fine and I'm doing well. Like, I still don't know about that, bro. Like, I'm good on that.
Well, and that's somewhat of, we have this right-left aura in culture, it seems like, that's been projected here recently. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm a Section 8 kid. I went to high school and there were 5 white people. I'm raised up against or around most of my young childhood around Mexican and black guys, and that kind of community. Obviously rap music, I got this sticker now I call because of Brandon Overton, Droop of Please. We all know what that actually means. That's the society I grew up in, though. That's the culture I was around. I dealt with different people. I feel like there's a lot of people in society that have never dealt with the other side or other ethnicities. And the only thing that's telling them what that other ethnicity is a television screen. And that television screen is only pointing out the worst examples that it can find so that it can get you to watch that damn television screen so you pay attention to it, because fear and negatives is what our minds naturally attribute to because it's always based on survival tactics. That's how we've always been, what's going to keep us alive. So if something is a threat, we pay attention to that threat. So I think there's a big deal. See, seeing your side of it, because I've dealt with that side on the other side of the fence, and I really kind of got a visual of there is a real such thing, because I've went everywhere, up to Seattle to the Chaz when Black Lives Matter took over it and was against the United States. Like, I've been everywhere, talked to a lot of people, and there is a difference between northern and southern racism. Like, it's very, very weird. Like, I don't... To me, I think the South's a little bit more progressed. I don't know if that's because they forced people to go to school and all that, and the northern people were just good. But you go up into the north, there ain't no towns where there's black and white people together. There's like a sector of the town that's black, a sector of the town that's white. You go down in the South, and it's a little bit more intermingled, to me, at least, in comparison to what you see up north. But the opinions of white and black people of who each other are in the north is far worse than the opinions of white and black people in the South. It is unbelievable. But you're saying there's still that stigmatism. But I also think that's, once again, because people are only hearing about the other side of the fence based on a television screen nowadays.
And that's definitely 100% it. And it's like my family has been in this sport on my dad's side since way before when, I know Hence Pollard and my grandmother and grandfather have a long history of when they built the original Sonora Raceway way back 50 plus years ago. My grandmother cooked for the track. Aunts, uncles, dad, they've worked for the track. I'm technically a third generational employee going from Sonora Raceway, but I've been fortunate where I'm able to move up from the kitchen to the AC, I should say.
Right. That's still a negative way to look at it, but it's very true.
One of us had to make it, is what they would say, but it's just still a lot of stigmatism around it, and the weirdest part was that I've never actually experienced racing into this sport until I actually became an announcer. And that's the weirdest part of it all. It's like,
that's not weird to me. You got into a position that is looked as above a regular person. And that's when you've always, the Tulsa massacre that happened. Some people don't even know about that. That was a situation where, segregation was very involved. And in the black community, they actually began building nice communities, nice things. Then some white girl accused a black guy of doing this or that, and he got, ill righteously treated. The black people started rising up. The white people went to the black side of town and said, how do you have all these nice buildings and stuff? And literally it was like the only citizen on citizen like attack that our government has done since the Civil War. But that makes perfect sense to me, because once somebody is in an elevated position, that's when you get noticed, and that's when there's a problem,
Yeah, and it was just kind of really weird, because it was during the Obama era deal, and that's when a lot of the vision had really actually started becoming a lot more prominent and a lot more mainstream than what it was. And
that's true.
God Almighty and it was like I was something new. I gotta say, I was a new shiny toy that came through. I was doing the racing and rapping and wrestling reference and commentating, and I mean, that's just me. I grew up off racing, rapping, and rapping.
Stone Cold Steve Austin and Lil John the Eastside Boys. That's
exactly.
I mean, that's what it was. Stone Cold the Rock talked some crap, and the stunner,
Yeah, that was just me. I mean, the way I announce is just who I am. I'm a little sarcastic asshole from time to time, but we got to be pretty cool for me to just start messing around with folks like that. And that's when they be like, oh yeah, that's just Dwayne being Dwayne kind of deal. But I mean, that's just what it was. But me coming into the sport at the time with that unique style of announcing, it scared people. It was already like, man, he's doing all this. Why is he doing all this screaming? Why is he doing all this yelling? And I don't think people know that I am extreme ADHD. So
we all are.
One guy, a guy was videoing me while I was announcing, and at the time I used to always wear my Southern All-Stars hat when I'm doing it, but I'm just fidgeting around and touching all up on my hat, flipping my hat 12 different ways, and it's like, calm down. Like, as long as I got to find a way to divert that attention. And when that attention hits, I get so focused and get so excited because the race fan in me just comes out. So that's just what happens. But so all the people like, when are you going to stop yelling? People I've tried, I've worked with a vocal coach. I've done everything under the sun and some take medication to try to get that under control, and it ain't happening. And it ain't going to stop no time soon, but
well, that just seems like nitpicking, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, they have really dissected my announcing down to the very core of it. But it's like, gosh almighty, please get a life on some of this stuff. Now they all just being extra for no reason.
Well, but you're saying that extra reason might be because you're a black guy. Yes,
it went from good constructive criticism to, okay, now we're pointing out stuff that are very much on the lines of racial, and like, why are y'all bringing this up? Why we got to bring this stuff up? This has, I mean, I understand. I came from a predominantly black culture, grew up in a black household in a black neighborhood, and went to the racetrack on weekends. Went to a predominantly black school. Just
right.
I grew up in the black culture, especially the South Atlanta culture.
Right.
This is what we do.
I think
I'm not a representation of it all, but this is just me.
Well, I think that's why even I have my views on it. That's pretty much exactly what my childhood was I grew up Monday through Friday day, in those neighborhoods, in that culture that we're talking about. I think a lot of people did. I think that culture was a lot more intermingled. Maybe in Dallas, Texas, a little bit more than South Atlanta, but it is a little bit more intermingled than most. But there wasn't a lot of those people. Like, our sport's very niche, so it's like there's not a lot of people who had that experience Monday through Friday and then went to the dirt tracks on Saturday, Sunday that were completely the opposite, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I think you call it that about right. It's just, I come from a different walk of life, just experience things differently. This is just what I know, period.
And people were criticizing just how you were announcing. That's all it took, huh?
Yeah, it just went. Then I think it was like I've had people like literally have sent emails to the Southern All-Star owner before I became into the city director role. They were like, "Can't believe you got this N-word up here doing this. Can't believe he's up here perpetuating all this blackness," and it's like,
that's racist, right? That is racist, right? Like, I just want to make sure. I know we have to tiptoe around this racing world because there are some racist instances that I think some of the people within it don't even know that they're being racist to begin with. Like,
right?
It's like when I call, like, I've been in these situations. I have these arguments privately all the time. Unfortunately, when I hear somebody say the N-word with the ER, I'll call the shit out right there. It don't matter if it's me versus six. And it's a very risky situation to do that. You know, even me doing that. You know, because you're fighting an ideology at that point. You know that group right there has an ideology, and most gangs and wars have been fought ideology versus ideology. That's usually how it goes. And then for their first response to say, black people say that to one another all the time, my only response to that is, Nicola, please. You know, because it is not the same. And for some people to say that, it's like either you truly are that disconnected, or you know that you're that racist and you're trying to use that as a scapegoat to be able to be racist. Because you can't be that dumb. It's like what you're explaining here with these people. You can't be that dumb to recognize how racist of a statement that, or email, or whatever that is. Like, that's blatant, just the word, the verbiage. It's like, it's just so crazy how disconnected some people are.
And it is. It's just, what it is it's primarily just a huge disconnection because everybody lives in their own bubble. You know, some people haven't been able to travel out and experience different cultures and get a little more grasp or understanding of why other people do what they do and why they say what they say and live the life that they live. And if more people had that opportunity to do that, it'll be a lot more of an understanding in this world. And we can put a lot more of this racial talk behind it because I'm feeling like it's a little less racial than it is just of a culture.
Right.
It's just the color of the skin comes with that culture, and that's where people see first because we're visual creatures, and that's, okay, I see this is what black people do. I see this is what European descendants do. I see this is
Muslim.
What Asian or Muslim or, you know, just different ethnic groups of the world, but it's like, well, you do know there are black Muslims, right? You do know there are Latinos that worship Buddha, correct? You know, it's just.
Or like I say in my excuse, like when I get to be being me, the kid that I was growing up, and I say Nicola, please, with the full phrase, and it's like somebody could respond, well, that's my culture. It's like, well, I was a kid being raised in a cultural society where that word became normalized. So isn't that somewhat my culture too? Isn't it?
Yeah. And
what is my culture? Is my culture my skin color only?
That's the problem that we deal with. It's like I stated before, we're visual creatures.
That's true.
So
men are for sure.
This is us, especially on the men's side. It's like, this is us, this is our culture, this is how we roll. And like you ironically got in your song.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had. He gave you a plug on that, so I'll be listening, just to let you know. But it's you know, this is how we do it, and I just know, like, try to take an example when Outkast and the big moment they had at the Source Awards years ago. This is a little hip hop history, so it's gonna go over a lot of people's head. But when he first got up there, he said that the South got something to say. Atlanta music wasn't accepted in hip hop. You had the East Coast New York, and you had West Coast Cali. That was it. Of course, you know, we're in our regions. You know, Houston, Texas was popping with Texas
Swisher House
music. DJ Screw, Swisher House, all them kind of people. You know, Atlanta was bumping what we had going on, but that's Outkast, that first group to really get national notoriety. And people were hating on it. And until he said that is when people really turned their head and were like, okay, well, let's hear what you got to say. And from that moment, Atlanta is just running the entire music game as far as hip-hop.
Right.
That's just, and we even
wasn't it after
trap.
him? It was the T.I. Crunk Juice era.
Yeah, T.I. came right more towards the mid to the end. That was actually more the birth of trap music.
That would be true, but it wasn't really called trap at the time. It was just called like
no, it was just
crunk.
street music. Yeah, we just say it was just street music. Street, S-T-R-E-E-T-C. That's that Urbonic slipping out. That was just street music at the time for us in Atlanta, more on the T.I. side.
Right.
But yeah, Lil Jon and, you know.
Well, I heard they had to shut that music down because it was causing. And see, I see music and movies as so much more than what I used to, because it can control people. I mean, it's an original form of magic. You know, even in the biblical stories, Luther was the leader of God's choir. You know. And music is very powerful. I mean, this is true. I mean, people want to deny it, you know. I mean, it's true. When you could get 100,000 people to chant your lyrics, or 1 million, or you could get me saying the N-word like I'm saying it to my friends as a kid, you know, that's a form of hypnosis. You're implanting things into people's mind and controlling their mind. So music's a very interesting thing. And I just looked at it. I looked at it differently then. Obviously, it's just fun and entertainment. But now that I've grown, I've learned how impactful it can actually control people.
100%, brother. That is 100% completely true. And I mean, I'm telling you, when Lil Jon, you know, when I walk up in the club, you don't do what, you know.
Well, and that's where I was leading. They had to shut it down.
It's like, yeah. You know, and Crime Mob and all these other stuff. I was
Lil Wayne. That's when Birdman started popping.
Pre-teen going to teenage. That stuff came on. When they music came on, somebody head about to get stopped. Like somebody's finna fight. Even if it ain't you ain't even know this person. It's beef. You ain't even got beef with them. You just swinging. You know.
It was fun.
It does that to you.
It was fun. It was a thing. That's when the what was it? What was it? I used to work security at clubs, you know, catching crowd surfers and stuff. And we used to have big issues with mosh pits. Because, you know, you had Lil Jon talk about mosh pits.
Yes, sir.
You know, and for those who don't know what a mosh pit is, that's basically where there's the big mama people at a crowd, and you just run off into a circle and start swinging, literally, and hitting each other as much as you can. That's literally what a mosh pit is.
Yes, sir.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. And they're just doing it. They're just taking it. I'm like, what the hell? What is wrong with you?
Well, music today is a way worse influence. What's that new one that just comes out that's talking like trying to get people to... The music scene today is just insane. Although I did see that 6ix9ine got stomped at the LA Fitness the other day, but...
Yeah, I didn't like that. I mean, the man's already kind of went through enough. But, yeah, I didn't like that. You ain't got to jump somebody. That's just bitch tendencies at that point.
Well, where does it stop, though? I mean, there's so many people talking what they can't back up. I mean, really bad. I mean, it's really bad out there. There's a lot of people out there saying they're a mobster, but they ain't ever really seen or done mobster things, you know.
Yes, sir.
I mean, real mobsters are ghosts.
That's true.
Real mobsters
that is
are ghosts.
100% true.
You don't see real mobsters. You don't know their name. You see all these Instagram models all hot and shit, and you go say, who is such and such boyfriend? And it's some dude you never heard of. Who is this? That's one of those ghosts. That's one of those ghosts out there. But okay, so Spike Fast Racing, who's a big fan of yours, by the way, this Spike Fast Racing guy, he said, I'm going to mosh pit the pits against GR Smith. Is this guy out of line?
Yeah, don't do all that. I've gotten older now. I'm still young, but as Pusha T said, young enough to sell dope, but I'm old enough to know better now. That ain't what you need to be doing. That's kind of one of them deals. Don't do it. It ain't worth it. Those silver bracelets just ain't worth it. Don't do it.
How do you feel about alcoholism in this sport? That thing goes hand in hand.
Yeah, so alcohol can play a major role in things, but people is one of those self-policing things. You know your limit, and you know not to push that limit, but people are going to do it. You know when your body's telling you, like, hey, I'm about to do something, don't do it, but they do it anyway. That's probably one of the deals you might need to stop drinking.
Well, and see, that's going to lead me into this next question, and you may not want to answer it, even though your mind might want to, you know, or your body might want to, your mind might not want to. I have a hard time believing or signing off on some drivers or people in the sport getting mind crazy drunk and then being able to race a car the next day. And that's okay. Here's what I'm saying. That's okay. But a guy on Monday after work smokes a little weed and then can't race on Friday or Saturday. How do you feel about that scenario and how, you know, anything but alcohol in this racing world is looked down upon? Outside of Adderall, of course, we got a lot of white boys pill popping out there. But how do you feel about that scenario? Because I'm not a proponent for marijuana use. I mean, I ain't against it. The people who are against it are the drunks all the time. I don't understand why that is. But what's your proponent on drug use in racing? Obviously, we shouldn't have it, you know, under the influence strapped in the car. But there's a lot of stuff out there that seems to be detoured in the racing world, and it doesn't seem like to me that it should be.
It's one of these deals where yes, it is 100% in the sport. We know what the ones that are in the pit area, they have an understanding where some of these people's minds are when it comes to being inebriated and under the influence stuff. For me personally, this is just my personal opinion. If it's going to alter your mind, it's going to affect your motor skills, don't do it before you compete, drive, anything along that nature.
So can I have coffee?
My personal view. If it's going to be the point where it's going to make you if it's making you jittery and nervous, yeah, you probably don't need to be operating a close to 900 plus horsepower fuel burning machine of speed. That would be me. I know you try to throw a curveball with, well, what if I drink coffee or something like that? You know what I mean? If you know, especially on that level, but alcohol and drugs, let's not get too far out of the wagon here.
I just know recently I had somebody ask me, why don't they drug test drivers anymore? And I'm like, how many of them you want to lose? I mean, they drug test drivers and teams out here, and we may lose half the damn super late model 410 sprint car field.
I mean, which is a funny thing because Eldora Speedway, World of Outlaw late models, Lucas Oil late models, I know they do drug test their competitors and crew people.
They do.
So,
it's random. We don't hear no results. They're not public. I mean.
Well, the ones that have gotten called, we didn't see them race that night. So.
well, in the super late model world, it's glorified.
We've had a few,
with Bloomquist, you know. I mean, if you ain't doing it, something's wrong with you. You know, that's how you become a star in that world, it seems. But
controversy breeds attention and rock stars.
Well, I still have the thing against marijuana usage because I think marijuana usage should be legal. Personally, it's not. We have all the factual evidence to see how it was deemed illegal to begin with because of the petrochemical industry in the 20s. I mean, you were thrown in jail if you didn't grow weed in the 1800s in Kentucky. Like, I don't see it as bad. I know it's weird to get on a weed discussion here, but being you're a series director, and I just recently had this argument with somebody, it's like, well, hey, let's see what Dwayne thinks. Like, marijuana is legal to smoke in the NBA, in the UFC. If you can fight people and smoke weed, why can't you drive a race car and have it in your system? And for the record, people out there, the reason weed stays in your system and alcohol is gone the next day is because alcohol is recognized in your body as a poison, and most of the time marijuana is recognized as a food or medicinal substance. That's why it's stored in your fat cells, because your body doesn't reject it.
That's 100% correct there, Chaz. You've been doing your Google research, my friend.
It's not Google. It's not Google. It's mainly my teens that was okay with smoking weed, and if you're scared to throw it up, get the fuck out the club. Everybody was popping one back or smoking one back then. So.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I've never seen nothing wrong with it. I grew up in a community where that was the least of your worries was a little weed, but it's still one of them deals. I don't know how to answer that. I'll have to say
it's so hated on because the racing world is a bunch of alcoholics, and the one group of society that is so against pot. And see, when I hear the word pot, when I hear a weed described, that's like the N-word for marijuana to me, is pot. I never heard anyone describe weed as a good thing when they use the verbiage pot. I've never heard it. So I just feel like since we're in such an alcoholic community, I've always seen all the alcoholics be anti-marijuana.
That's correct, and they don't realize there's a lot more benefits for them being on smoking a joint versus,
drinking poison.
A couple of colds. Yes.
Drinking poison is what that is. I mean, that's what that is. All these other drugs, alcohol, methamphetamine, cocaine, they're in and out of your system because your body's rejecting them. They're poison. They're not good for you. That's not the case with marijuana usage.
That is correct, brother.
Okay. Somebody
but a lot
asked,
of people don't see it like that.
I know. You're scared of losing your credibility at this point. Somebody.
Oh, well.
I'm just kidding.
That was thrown out the one. But yeah, I was like, that was already thrown out.
Well, I guarantee you there's a lot of us. Ago. There's a lot of us out there that think and feel the same way right now. We're just scared because we're surrounded by a bunch of alcoholics who talk down to it all the time. But anyway, there is a good question. I did have an issue here recently with a big block modified racer and a sprint car guy who ruined a series date at a racetrack. Somebody said, ask Dwayne about the amount of affairs that go on in this sport. Now, you got to know a few of those.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, my God. How many have you been involved in?
None.
Okay.
I really haven't. I know. I don't. For me, that racetrack is a workplace, and I don't give back shots to my place of work and my coworkers. That's just going to lead to issues later down the road.
Okay.
Learned that years ago working at McDonald's.
Everybody at the racetrack drinks, even minors. I see it a lot in person. Yeah, that is an issue. I heard from the PA fans. Somebody just said that in the chat, by the way. I did see that that is a situation that's a problem, but we don't want to make that too public because then your racetrack will get shut down for conducting illegal activities and allowing it to happen, right?
That is correct. I mean, they have police officers there. Most tracks have some sort of law enforcement there. And it's hard to catch some of these kids that are underage that are doing this underage drinking, and some are actually doing it within, the confounds of their vehicles and yada, 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 stuff along that nature. But, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. It's not that I don't want to give an answer. It's just I really don't know how to answer that.
There is no way there's no technical way to police it. When you got police there, they're not policing it. What are you supposed to do? Now that's correct. That is something that some people said about that Southern Raceway situation was the lack of track personnel there to stop that from happening. I know you were involved. I don't know how much you want to talk about it. What about all that situation? Is that a plead the fifth situation as well, or what?
No, I mean, I did just actually did an interview, I think, Friday with Scott Bargloff with his All Gas No Brakes podcast, and I kind of went into a little more details from our side that was in the tower and how we came to be with the decisions and suspensions and all that other stuff. So I don't really have a problem answering on that one. And, I mean, since it's live, so y'all are going to get the first exclusive off of it. It was just a whole deal that we've told GR on the first hit. This wasn't like later down the road. It was on that very first hit he did the winger. My series competition director, Mr. David Axon, had told him, leave the track, you're done, you're DQ. GR done already snapped. He's already on
white girl
emotional
pissed
roller coaster. Yeah. And he did it not once, not twice, but 3 times. Once you have went to that level, now we've escalated to a whole different type of situation now. And that's when he did leave, he left and he went to his trailer like he was supposed to. And we did notify track, said we probably need to have some type of security or law enforcement or something along that nature to be down here so he can just, load his car up and then get out safe. Because we don't want somebody to get hurt. I mean, we don't want, if we can prevent a situation from happening, we are going to do it.
Well, you as a series have a responsibility, but a track does too to have proper personnel there to handle such a situation, especially since apparently there was shovels being flown around a couple weeks ago or something, but prior to the event.
Very, very much so. And, I mean, they keep at least 3 Santa Rosa sheriff officers at the facility. They do. The main lady head in charge there, she was calling and getting people set. But before they could get there in time, things had already escalated where Ashton's crew member or his dad decided, you're messing with my kid. And
they have a history, obviously, personally.
They have a very bad history with a messy breakup from the year prior with GR, and things didn't go well. And one of those incidents being the I-75 incident between him and McCarter. So that was still lingering on his brain as well. So he's like, you know what? I'm done. We're fixing to go down here. I'm about to handle this situation now. I hated that. I would have much rather for him to go down there and just throw hands than have to use a weapon. But,
once you get a weapon involved, the charges go up.
It goes way up. So once he went to that level and used a weapon, that's where Santa Rosa really had to step in and do what they had to do at that level. And unfortunately, he's facing felony charges. That's
right.
That's a very serious offense. And with the state of Florida laws and everything they got going with that, he could really be looking at doing some jail time, We're not talking about, a week or a month or two. We're talking from a year and a half to longer. So that's where I'm getting to the point now where the decision is why the penalties were assessed down like they were. JR got hit with the indefinite suspension, and the key word is indefinite, meaning there's no disclosed time of when they could come back.
He's going to try to buy his way back.
The door is open to come back. No, we don't. I don't take money. Ain't Trump, but I ain't.
Ooh, you said the truth there. Oh, he had a Trump moment. He said the truth.
Yeah.
He said the truth.
Yeah,
oh,
or
my God.
Neither, or she. So
or any of them. They're all playing and pandering to their group. They're all playing and pandering to a group. Right.
But no, he can't buy his way back in. We don't do that. That's just not going to work with us. But yeah, we're going to discuss with them privately. Right now, we just need to let some time pass so we can assess what we would need. Because in the 40 years of this series, we've actually never dealt with this. And we're the oldest series as far as super late model entity in the entire world.
Well, don't you think that's because it's a lack of life-threatening situation sometimes? Like, I feel like You don't really find that in the sprint car world, because if you pull some crazy moves like that in a sprint car, you might die. You might get severely injured. And in these fender classes, you got so much money that you could somewhat bully someone around. That was my opinion on it. I was like trying to use that situation as an example. Like, hey, you race people out there, you got these guys at your racetrack, even weekly, in different classes that have a ton amount of money, and they know they're out there with people who don't, and they know that they can go out there and slam and bam these guys around because they got the money to. And I wasn't necessarily saying that, this is just a scenario with him, but I do feel like when we got guys out there who are consistently in kind of these instances on the track where it's a dirty driving situation and they're just taking their little white girl crybaby ass out on somebody's race car, that we need to start somewhat vetting the drivers. The one thing that's against dirt, as much as I want to say there is no pro level of racing, because there isn't, you could buy your way into NASCAR this just like you can a super late model. The one negative to dirt racing, though, is that we do not have any kind of vetting process. Like, if you can afford a 410 sprint car and make laps like Bill Rose, you can show up and run the World Outlaw Sprint Car Series or SAS if you can afford a super late model. I think once a guy has shown over and over he can't compete cleanly and he's running guys over and causing all these instances, that they literally should be, like, not allowed to race at all.
And that is something that just depends on the person and their mindset on when it comes to making that type of decision. Because GR, I'm just using him as an example. GR is actually a past Southern All-Star winner. And he's won his share of super races across the South. He has done that.
With some bot cherry picking speed?
Well, the time that he won those races, he wasn't racing against any slouches. He actually raced against some of the best in the region or in the area. And it was because the super late model racing now, especially here in the, I say about mid-2000s to present day, the regional man's equipment is just as good or if not better than that of the Rocket One car or any house car.
Because they can buy it now.
And drive it out. Right. They have that same equipment. They're not slouches. So I mean, yeah, when he won, he just legitimately he got their ass that night. That's just what happens. That's sport for you.
But he has been in some very, he has been consistently in altercation style situations.
We're in a sport that is very emotional and is very, very driven by our deep passion in the sport. That's just the truth. We can't get from around that. It's how we conduct ourselves when it comes to that type of situation. And yes, he's had some run-ins. I mean, there's other drivers that have too, but if we're using him as the core example, yes, he has had his run-ins with people. That's what JR is. I mean, the man has played hockey for 20 plus years. There's a different mindset when it comes to it. But he, this is one of them deals now. Yeah, that's another thing that came into play was, the man's history. He's had some run-ins, had a few dust-ups. Right, okay. Now, I'm not trying to be a hard ass, but now we got to kind of send a message that, like, all right, you need to calm down now.
Right, people are going to jail.
Just chill, relax. Yeah, like, even though, I hate that he got assaulted with a hammer, but there's only so much people are going to take after a while.
Ashton's dad didn't look like he looked like he got hit with a hammer a couple times. He looked like I ain't seen GR's pictures, but
GR, he had blood down there when I left. There was blood to show evidence. He got cracked in his head, but it was on top of his head. Now, as far as who's looking like this, that, I mean, it's a fight. There's no real winner once it comes to a physical altercation. That's all I can say with that.
Well, it was the closest thing we could think of to that situation would have been Tyler Bobby Pierce at Cedar Lake a few years ago.
Correct.
And it's a similar situation, you know.
And I hate, I tried to actually reach out to Casey Schumann. Didn't get a call back, but I mean, it was. But I did talk with other series directors. That's why it took a few days to levy out a punishment. I wasn't fixing to go off just the first knee-jerk reaction off emotion like what we're saying and stuff. We need to kind of discuss this, see what some precedents that have been set, talk with all the parties involved so we can make the best fair decision off of it. But if we allow what GR did to continue to happen, if we gave him a lighter sentence, the message is going to be perceived, well, we only do this, well, we'll only be going for a couple of days, and it's not like there's 9 other series in the Southeast I can't go run, That's just trying to send this message out that, hey, this is not going to be tolerated, and we can't tolerate this stuff.
Also, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I think what your job, unfortunately, in this is like, no matter what Ashton's dad goes into that courtroom and says and tries to justify what Ashton did, first of all, the judge has probably never heard of a dirt track. Don't know what a super late model is. But he's going to be like, I don't give a damn about any of that. I don't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the history. I mean, you could come in there and maybe the lawyers are going to write a book as to why he acted like this. But, I mean, outside of catching your woman with another man, you can't just shoot or hit a guy with a hammer. Apparently, is that temporary? Is he going to plead temporary insanity? I mean, good luck. But your job, I think, y'all's job in that scenario was to somewhat be the judge of understanding why Ashton's dad might have went over and done that. Because a lot of people agreed with what he did. If you're going to do that to us and destroy our race cars, then you deserve to get a hammer over the damn head. I mean, that's the community we're in, but eye for an eye in a way. And y'all are the only judge that could have actually, righteously made a decision on that.
That's correct. And I mean, I've known Gary and Ashton for a long time. I've watched Ashton since he was 13, driving bandoleros, and I mean that was beyond Gary getting out of character, because Gary's very mild-mannered. He's a very mild-mannered man. He doesn't get in. He really doesn't go around messing with anybody. That's scary. He's a good friend, but I know and I can understand his mindset why he reacted. He's a father first. At the end of the day, that's still his kid. No matter the age of a child, that's still his kid, and he's that's just paternal instincts. He's going to defend his child regardless. So that's why he acted in the manner that he did. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to cut him slack for what he's doing, but his reason being the 60-day with a zero-tolerance probation, and I need to emphasize to people understand what a zero-tolerance probation is not okay, you go over and punch somebody in. It could be something as simple where you acted out towards an official, called them out their name. We're not going to deal with that. You can go for an indefinite suspension. If he jumps the start, that can put him on grounds of being for an indefinite suspension. That's when we say zero tolerance, we literally mean like
whatever the receiver says, you do.
If you do it, you come back to courtroom, run your race, make your money, see you next week.
Right. So, if you think they called a BS call, he can't get out the car in victory lane and say, I don't know about that restart. Thought that was stupid, or something. That's he could. That's a violation technically.
That is a very huge violation. That's why we said it's zero tolerance. Hence, zero tolerance. Period. But 60 days being just because of the actions of his crew. Cause what Ashton did, we're kind of old school. We're Southern. You get out there, roll around in the dirt, dust yourself off, go to pay one to go get your money, see you next week. But because of the action of his crew, He's responsible for it. We gave him 60 days because he has a bigger issue out of his dad that he has to deal with later on, and that's with the whole felony case that he's got to deal with. He got 2 felony cases against him. So we took that into this situation as well to assess that punishment.
Well, and you saw with Freeman leaving the team, it does seem like, even though I think that the court is going to side with, or is going to look at Ashton's dad as the problem, I think the racing community sees G.R. Smith as the problem in this whole ordeal.
Yeah, and that's the court of public opinion for you. And the court of public opinion does make a difference. I know people are like, well, we shouldn't worry about what people say and what they do, but it does create a huge factor in that situation. And people got to be aware of it, like the things you say, the things you do, the way you move. If enough of the outside world society sees it as being a problem, it's going to be a problem. So somebody like Peyton Freeman and Austin Kirkpatrick, who were signed with GR, they're like, oh, crap, he just did this, and court of public opinion has passed their judgment now. Oh, I might get a thunderstorm now. But they said, we don't want to be a part of that. So we're going to remove ourselves from that situation. So GR has got his own fallout that he's got to deal with too. And that's the power of the society. Their words can't matter.
It's like a little dirt gang, man. No matter what that courtroom's going to do, you're about to get back to the cells and you're going to get treated how we see it.
Yes, sir. That is 100% it.
It's very, very similar.
1% it,
well, and see, my issue with it is, recently we see a lot of NASCAR people calling Jonathan Davenport, a hillbilly. And I think our sport is very underrated when it comes to the amount of players that we got and how badass our talent actually is. But the public outside of this little dirt world sees it as a bunch of rednecks going in circles. I've had discussions with people at car shows that I used to put on for racetracks, and we'd be in a big Dallas, Texas area, and they would, looking at a sprint car, I was like, how much do you think that costs? They think it's $5 or $10 grand. They look at it as flag football or a bunch of rednecks going in circles.
Right.
And we always have these negative examples get the attention. And when people ask me, why do NASCAR fans think we're a bunch of hillbillies? It's like, well, look at this. Look at that. Look at Charlie Medford jumping out and laughing about it and giggling about destroying his race car, and it's just all fun. The representation of the sport is really big when it comes to respect because it ain't got much as it is.
That is true. That is 100% true, and I hate that that's where we're in right now. But and it's not fair. It's 1% not fair. That's how the world perceives us. But I mean, Davenport's a millionaire for crying out loud. He won $2 million, but it's kind of like the story, like he has the piece on Flow about his ranch life, him and his wife and his son, where they're buying a very, very high dollar expensive cow, and they're like, well, they're just a bunch of farmers and living this. No, he's got kind of that Dale Earnhardt. That's what I felt from it when I seen it. I remember that's how they sold Dale Earnhardt. He's a man of the people, even though he's a multi-millionaire 11,000 times over, but it was something that us, the common man, could relate to. But when we get that and we give it to the outside world that are outside of our sport, all they see is, well, it's just a redneck, you ask me. But people don't know those cows run anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, a piece.
Right, and there's really there's no, see, in the racing world, I always joke and say NASCAR is like a bunch of Johnny Manziels that outprice the Tom Bradys. Talent, I mean, what I mean by that is like Tim Tebow can go out there and practice all he wants. Tom Brady can still throw a football better. That's talent. You can't teach that stuff, and in this racing world, you got this NASCAR level where there's a price tag to play. And if you can't afford, it don't matter how good you are. So someone would explain this sport to new people, I say it's like if basketball didn't have the NBA. Where would the harder games be? Would it be in the rich country club where the millionaires are, or would it be on the blacktop, on the other side of town? And that's kind of what the dirt track is. The dirt track racing world is like that blacktop. It's more players, and that's where people can play. Over there, it's like a private club. No?
That's true, man. I can't disagree with that. I mean, you pretty much put a pretty great example out there, so I really can't top that right now.
I mean, it's hard.
I mean, a little more past that.
But it just sucks that the world. I think that there's a lot more money out there. There's a lot of people out there right now that own boats, that could own race cars if it was respected or something that was worth doing. But I think the perception of what it is why we don't have those people involved anymore. You said you grew up, your family's been in it. Back there in those days, weekly racing was viewed as professional auto racing, dirt racing. It was on ABC and TV and stuff. Today, you never hear about it.
Yes, sir. And that's true. It's just, for a lot of the people here, that was their, those weekly race warriors, those were the heroes. It went beyond just your Friday Night Lights or your courtside bangers. It was those weekly racers were the community pillars and heroes. And it's changed a lot. You don't see that type of media attention anymore like we used to, 4-hour racing, but I mean, it's still there though.
Well, back then, NASCAR wasn't the only ticket on the block either. They were in their inception. I think one of the biggest things that hurts racing overall and why we don't have a lot of race fans in society, unlike back then, is NASCAR is probably the only thing that they see. And if NASCAR sucks, they think racing sucks. If I watch the NFL and I think NFL sucks, I don't just think NFL sucks. I think football sucks. And I just think
that's true.
It's ruining the sport by us not getting proper representation. And I think I've said it forever. NASCAR has the public hoodwinked. They're living on an illusion of being the greatest racers in America. They have nothing factual that they could show me that proves them to be the greatest race car drivers in America. Nothing at all. Period.
Yeah. Different disciplines, different sports. Everybody's going to think this one group is better than another and yada, yada, yada. F1, they say those are the greatest drivers in the world because they literally travel the world and they race. Country to country, side to side. They're real world champions. But we've had multiple incidents where those F1 drivers have came over into our world of stock car racing and couldn't hold a candle to our guys, and vice versa.
Right. We saw William Byron at Bull's Gap.
And that was interesting.
I mean, Davenport ain't going to look that out of place. But the problem is they're going to put Davenport in that car, and if he runs 15th, those 14 drivers ahead of him to the society around us are going to view those 14 drivers better dirt track racers, not only than Jonathan Davenport, but of all super late model dirt racers there are.
Correct.
And that's the bigger negative to the scenario.
And I mean, not Davenport, but Larson is, kind of an anomaly.
He's average.
Been successful. Yeah,
he's average.
So far he's been able to. And why do you think that? Why do you think that?
I think when people tell me, look at Larson, he can jump in all these different cars and be this successful and do all this, you're comparing him to nobody. Who else is getting these opportunities? Racing is completely opportunity-based.
That, and I can see your point on that. I haven't personally just been massively blown away with the guy, with his racing. Okay, cool. Came dirt late models, set the world on fire, had some good runs. You had some mediocre runs. Same thing as was on the sprint car. That's what his discipline, that's what he grew up on. He had some good runs, and he had some mediocre runs. Same thing with his Cup history. He was dominant when he first got there and went in, and got a championship in NASCAR the next year. He wasn't even close to being a quarter of the success that he had the year before. I mean, yeah, he's just overall he's an average driver.
Are you okay? Is it raining over there?
Yeah, it just started raining on me.
Oh, well, there has been rain down there, but, I mean, luckily you've got some races in. Regardless, I think when it comes to Kyle Larson, he is the greatest example, what you just said, of how talent, you could kind of throw that out the window with NASCAR. It doesn't really matter. You're riding in those cars because Kyle Larson only had 6 wins in 6 years. He says what he says. In my opinion, the greatest marketing decision he ever did, became a right-wing icon. And then comes back, gets into a good car for the first time in his career, and then dominates the tour. The driver didn't change. The ride did.
That's true. And, I mean, I'm not going to divulge on his right-wing success story.
Well, I'm just saying, nobody even knew who he was.
Yeah.
Most people didn't know who Kyle Larson was, and all of a sudden they knew who he was because of what he did. And that aligned with an ideology that was on the right side of the political year that all this happened on. Bubba played the left. I mean, they both played the sides. I mean, it was live theater.
It did. I'm not very happy on Bubba because when I've worked in the NASCAR world and I've seen some experience with him, I was like, well, I guess he finally remembered that he has African descent in him. Like, you know, it's okay, Bubba. Well, I'm glad you just remembered. You know, you do have this part in you, and regardless of what you do, yes, you are of mixed races, but the world's primarily because of your skin tone. They're gonna forever see you as being a black man.
Well,
and it finally dawned on him.
That's what you do in that industry, though. You kiss what ass can advance you. If that ass changes, you kiss it. It had been the white man for all those years. And then when it changed because of a political situation, all of a sudden that ass changed to kiss.
That is 100% it.
I mean, Bubba's a privileged guy. There's better African-American race car drivers out there than Bubba Wallace. Just like there's potentially better dirt track racers than Kyle Larson. They just both had opportunities and were privileged.
And that's 100% it, man. And they better take every bit of advantages they can because they got some big dollars and checks that are supporting them and getting behind them. I still don't even really think Larson even still haven't really found a sponsor yet. He's still driving for the team owner.
He's still in the Hendrick cars.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, he's in the Hendrick cars, sponsored by the Hendrick cars.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I was still, seeing that right on that deal.
Well, but that's to keep up with the Illuminati because Cole Trickle was in the shitty Chevrolet car, and he's got to stay with what role he's playing, which is the sprint car driver from California in NASCAR racing rowdy.
Yes, sir.
Scientology wins.
Yes, sir. Once again, but I forgot it was supposed to be a hoopla type of religion, but
hey, they're the only religion to successfully infiltrate the CIA. That's pretty damn good.
Yes, sir. Hey, you're going to have your conspiracy theorists going a little, they're about to be clamoring onto your site here a little bit there, man.
Hey, man, it's a big community. Now, I ain't no QAnon guy. I think that's hilarious. But, hey, I like to think. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I know what Horus is.
Yes, sir.
Is the earth flat, Dwayne?
It is.
Are you joking or are you serious?
Half and half.
Just to fuck with them? I do it too.
Yeah, I mean, scientifically, because gravity bends light. And based off how the light comes through our line of gravity, it can actually morph what we are seeing as far as the visual effect of the earth. So we can't really prove that it's actually round versus being flat. I know they say, well, why isn't the water falling off and all this other stuff? We don't know there's an edge to the water. It's just one of those kind of deals. But, I mean, that's the scientific argument of it. that light is bending and gravity and yada yada yada.
It wasn't but 400 years ago that you got killed and imprisoned for saying it was round, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, people forget this. Until they can start making billions and billions and billions of dollars up and telling you it's round because we need NASA and space travel, you know, screw it. It's flat round. Who cares?
My goodness.
What?
You own it, though, man.
What do you mean? It is all tax-based. It's all tax-based. I think that's why all of these ideologies are out here. I think why there's the black, the white, the left, the right, the non-binary, the women, the man, the children. I think that's why all this crap is out here, to keep us entertained while they literally just rob us billions and trillions of dollars every year. It's amazing.
Divide and conquer. Keep them distracted. They'll never know the truth of what's really going on.
What do you think's really going on, Dwayne? Is Kyrie right?
About his anti-Semitic comments him and Nick Cannon made?
I don't know if they're anti-Semitic. Are they? Are they really?
They say it's anti-Semitic. I don't really think it was anti-Semitic, but if that's being the case, then the comments that have been made about black people can't be perceived as being racist, you know?
Right.
So...
Well, it's just like that CNN article. It's just as you know, exaggerated.
Yes.
Why? You know, LeBron James went through the same thing that Kyrie and Kanye just went through a couple years ago when he was in that interview, and he kind of brought up. He's like, "Why do J people?" I'm going to say J word people because I don't even want this video to get flagged and shut my channel down. Why do J word people own all the banks and the entertainment industries? Why is that okay? And then, like, you didn't hear from LeBron on TV for like 3 weeks. You had to go to like sensitivity class stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. There's, I think, some hidden truths to what they're stating, but you can't speak against the people that is actually holding the core and the money itself. So.
Well, down there, that would be the Bible Belt, right?
Yes, sir.
How is it being in the Bible Belt of this country?
When I got out of it, it's like, well, I think we probably need to open up our minds a little bit more than what we have been doing.
Like Book of Enoch stuff, or what?
I don't know much about. Well, yeah, I have read a little bit on the Book of Enoch. Yeah, I have my own personal beliefs about the black culture and Mother Africa and being the descendant of Africa and all that other things that I'm not fixing to share with the rest of the world, because then that's going to be like, oh, he's all pro-black and he's
well,
his whole black.
The winners tell the story.
Pro-black nationality and stuff.
The winners tell the story.
Say it again. That is true.
You know,
That is true.
When you go look at some of the stuff that they've researched as far as like sea navigation and things like that, like there's a lot of facts or evidence around ancient African Americans discovering America first. You go down to South America where the currents actually run, and if you go look at a bunch of those totem poles, they look very similar to African people. And then there's even evidence here in America of that as well, especially up in Ohio. And there's actually theories out there that black people were here and that they weren't necessarily brought over to be slaves, that they were already here inhabited. Because the guy who was explaining it, I don't know if you heard of him. His name's Hotep Jesus. Pretty good guy. I mean, I listened to it. You know, it's always ideology based, but in his theory, he was saying it made no financial sense to bring everybody over. That makes no sense. Look at how many ships crashed back then. Look at how many people died at sea. You know, and so that theory I thought was very interesting, how African Americans had already discovered North and South America first, and they were already here and were prisoners of war more so than brought over. He was trying to say that the brought over comments and storyline instates the white dominance notion that is out there, how black people were always stupid and slow and dumb, and we were the smart ones that found America and brought them over, you know. I don't know about your comments or if you've heard about his stories or anything like that, but I don't know if that lines up with your ideology. You can say whatever the hell you want here on the Chaz. These people, these whiteys of the racing world need to hear the damn truth.
There's only, historically being, there's only one group that actually, I wouldn't say invented guns, but use that as their primary way of doing things and going about it. There's only one race, and that's based out of Europe. And that's what allowed them to be able to use this colonization and this imperialistic mentality, and able to go into overthrow a lot of groups and governments because they had superior weaponry through guns. And that's about the most I can really put out there. I'm a graduate from the University of West Georgia in Towson, Georgia, with a degree in history, with a minor in Africana Studies and general education. So that, like I said, I want to get into that.
I want to get into that.
To that subject.
Let's hear about it. Let's hear about this imperial.
It's not really wrong for me to get into it.
Oh, it is. It sounds like you're qualified. It sounds like you're qualified. You're way more qualified than my Google and YouTube education. Hey, I like hearing about this stuff. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell them how these imperialists were funded by banks to go out and do all this stuff, and those banks that were the J word people.
Yes.
The Rothschilds. That's how they became famous, was funding wars between countries and imperialism and colonialism. So go ahead, dive in.
Yes, and the Zionist mentality of that of World War II, and why Israel was sent like it was, and why that land is actually historically. That's why they're in that territorial dispute now, because if somebody comes to your house and tells you that you no longer live in this house and somebody's going to move you, we're going to move his family into this house and there's nothing you can do about it. Yes, that's going to be an issue. But I'm not. Let's get back on the racing topic.
No, this is good. The views have went up. The views have went up.
Let's go back to the race.
The views have went up. No. This is too good. We finally hit somebody who knows what they're talking about. Finally, I found someone intellectual. It's hard to do in the racing world.
I know. I'm supposed to just be some weird loudmouth kid from the ghetto that just so happen to know about racing, but
Well, it sounds like you happen to know about a lot of that. Like all these women out here talking about, I want equality. Bitch, have you ever heard of Cleopatra and what she did? Well, that's a whole other story. But one of the most dominant rulers in world history is Cleopatra, based in the manipulation of her own society through cosmetology and love. And you wonder why love is such a thing of manipulation today. Everybody's on Facebook and the Andrew Tates and all these people preying on love and emotion, because if you can control the mind of the human, you control the humans. That's our strength.
Yes, and also how Cleopatra was able to take the most powerful man in the history at that time and get him to conquer the whole world just so he can show his love for this woman, admiration to this woman, just to show how powerful he was. That's you can't doubt the power of the woman and the power of the P, as some of these kids say.
Right. He was the pit bull on the leash who was holding the pit bull back or telling him where to go and sick. It wasn't the man, so who's the powerful position?
There you go.
And it's still the same thing today. Women underestimate how much power. I was trying to make that message in my last video talking about that big block instance. Like, you women talking about, oh, you ain't dominant. You have controlled the man's mind for a very long time. Very long time. So Yeah, there's probably been some very oppressive situations that are bad. But as far as if you control a decisive thing in a man's mind, you control the man. And unfortunately, like you just gave with Cleopatra, I believe it was Alexander you're talking about. Sorry, I'm slipping. I'm YouTube educated.
Yes, sir. Alexander the Great. That is correct. No, you are with Alexander the Great. And that was, if we got to throw the history of the Bible, and that was actually during the time of where the Bible states that God did not speak to man for 400 years, going from the last book of the Old Testament going into the new book of the Testament. During the actual world history, that was during that time. So there's a lot of history that people got to learn on top of that. And of course, we have to use a little more historical reference from the Bible. The very first sin was influenced by a woman. And now I know I'm fixing to get they're bashing women. I'm like, no, we're admitting that women, y'all have the power. Y'all can control any and everything that a man can do, regardless of how narcissistic they are or how misogynist they are. At the end of the day, a woman has more power than anything, especially when it comes to psychological and everything else along those lines. And manipulation, yes.
Yeah.
Well, so women, I salute you. Y'all are the true MVPs when it comes not only to the battle of the sexes, but for us as mankind in general.
Well, and it all goes back to hunter-gatherers. I mean, we're better at throwing footballs because we used to throw spears, and they're better at manipulating men because they used to raise kids and manipulate humans. I mean, that's what they were doing.
That is it. Just another little side note that they have found there a little more trace of mercury within the senses of males when it comes to the sense of direction and smelling and stuff of that nature too. So yes, that's another reason why we were hunters.
Right.
And why man is a lot less likely to want to ask for directions than anything now.
Now, question. We're one of the only land mammals that sweat. Thoughts on Atlantis?
I ain't lose you, did I?
No. I think maybe some of the J words have caught up, and they're trying to shut this thing down. I said we're one of the only land mammals that sweat salt water or sweat salt, perspirate.
Mm-hmm.
Are we from the water? Are we aquatic? What are we? Is Atlantis real?
All life was created within water. That's where the first form of life was found, in water. Yes, we are descendants from water.
Well,
at the end of our spinal cord, there's what appears
chakras?
To be that whole chakra nature, and we have the opening of the sun. That's a lot more spiritual in there. That's a little different conversation there, Chad.
Like dimensions?
Yes. And there are some dimensions outside of that of what we see here in the natural realm, I should say.
Are we a good science experiment?
Well, we are the only creatures that literally can take ourselves apart and put it back together.
That's true. How did those ancient Sumerian texts have like a carving of the entire solar system? What's up with that? Do you believe in aliens?
There's some got to be out there, Chad. There's no way we're the only thing that are sitting on this little tiny rock out of this entire endless miles of space that is out there in the universe. We can't be the only thing out here. As far as alien technology and all that man-created thoughts, no, but something got to be out there other than just heaven and hell.
Well, I mean, that whole space out there is based on the round Earth. The flat Earth is based on like the clock watchers and and all this other stuff, fallen angels and all this other test of a petri dish that the flat Earth would be.
That's correct.
And that could be true. I mean, that could be. Thoughts on the Vatican?
Jab, we have went to a whole nother conversation. I guess it feels good that you have found someone that thinks a little more outside the box than what's normal presented in front of us.
That's true. That's true. I did want to talk to you. Go ahead. I mean, if you want to continue, I'm so
let's
get
back to. Let's go on and reel it back around there, man. I ain't got nothing against this conversation. There's more we can talk about offline.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss off it more and people think that I'm anti-God or something like that.
Well, no, I don't think anti-God. I mean, I think. You're talking about real God. No, I mean everything that we are reading in books and all this TV stuff is not based in God. That's based in the proof that a God doesn't exist. I think that one of the greatest things out there going right now to manipulate guys is to think that they're all alone just because some girl don't want them and their parents are dead. If they had some kind of relationship to a higher power, they wouldn't be all sad and depressed and feeling alone. But that's not the scenario that's promoted in today's society. Why does the system want people very sad and alone and depressed and committing suicide? Why? That sounds like a demonic thought to me.
Very demonic.
So.
Very demonic.
That's what I would say. Why late? Okay, somebody's got a good question. Why late models are real race car drivers and sprint cars are go-karts for small men and women? How do you feel about sprint car racing?
I love 410 sprints.
410. I'm glad you said that.
That's another huge misconception too. I grew up off chasing races and Speedway Illustrated, all that stuff through the 90s, and the Simmons Swindells and the Steve Kenders and the Jack Hodgshields, and
they used to come down there a lot, right?
And they did. I know they give us a hard time, but yeah, we used to get 410s down there. Our predominant has always been the USCS's Pete Walton's 360 sprints, but we got some 410s down here. Talladega Short Track ran them for 10, 12 years. That was the traditional NASCAR weekend for 2 times a year. They went to Dixie Speedway. They went to Bulls Gap. They went to Tazewell. They went to a lot of these tracks around. This has always just been late model country. But I can't say that a sprint car driver or their cars are anything less than a late model. I mean, they're 2 totally different machines, 2 totally different disciplines on the same kind of surface.
Well,
that's the only thing that they have in common.
How was the sprint car scene when you were younger down there?
It was big. Because to us, it was, the general conception was that it was a traveling show. It was kind of like a sideshow for everybody. So when they showed up, people came and drove. They packed out these racetracks to see these sprint cars. We don't get to see them like that. That'd be the same as when big blocks come down here. We have 5 classes of late models. We got 602, 604, steelheads,
limited
super late model steelhead. Yeah, it's just, a built motor, which is basically like a hobby with a 350 cubic inch motor and on a late model frame. We're late model out. When you come us out, just know that you're going to watch. They'll have 7 divisions, and 5 of them are going to be some type of late model class. Another be some type of street stock, another be some type of 4-cylinder. That's our classes down here.
And then
but
somehow
a
fight somehow.
Place. Yeah.
It seems like fighting is prevalent down there. It does.
Hey, we about it down here.
You about it?
Step
okay.
wrong, you're gonna get. We about it. You're gonna get stepped on. We don't.
That's
we don't
that urban lingo they're talking about. We about it. Listen to that black man speak.
I mean, when it's up, man. When I see you, it can be on site. We get lit. It just, I mean, we do what we do. If we got to run a fade, we're going to run a fade. It ain't, that's what we're about. But it's,
I mean, there's a lot of mountains around there and a lot of backhoes, you know. A 10-foot hole can be made real quick.
Yes,
no
sir.
Body, no case.
There you go. There you go. And we do apologize because we don't want people thinking of any type of physical threats or harm can be used against people.
Yeah, we're completely joking. This is all a lie.
Yeah,
but back to the sprint cars. They used to come down there a lot, but you're saying it was rare when you were younger, so people went.
Yeah. So that's how it's always been for us. I've loved Sammy Swindell. I was a huge Sammy fan. I mean, I remember the first time I'm about to date myself, we went into Circuit City and the World of Outlaws 2002 game came out. Seen no commercials, no advertisement, nothing like that. And, boy, I like to blew my lid. I'm like, holy shit, a fucking sprint car game was out. And I said, Dad, you got to get it, or I'm about to be the little bratty kid that's running around screaming. And he said, all right, you do your homework? Yes. You get in the fight at school this week? No. I was a bad kid. And said, all right, I'll get it. Yeah, I mean, I've been a big fan. I can't speak for everybody in the South, but I've always loved the 4-2 sprints, man. I wish we could have drew more sprint cars down here and had more sprint car events, but late models have always just been it for the South.
Well, but y'all have a big dirt track fan base. I mean, I made a video about Talladega Short Track about how, you know, those sprint car guys are kind of timid to run the top in 3 and 4 because they ain't used to those, you know, bull rings like that with no wall up there. And you've heard that the sprint car series won't go to certain tracks because of safety concerns. And I'm like, if y'all are going to let these sprint cars run in 3 and 4 at Talladega on the edge with a 30-foot drop-off, all that safety BS is a lie. And honestly, with how the weather patterns are in America, why in the hell are the World of Outlaws not doing a full March, April swing after Florida Speed Weeks in that region of the country where there's a bunch of dirt track fans?
I never could understand why, like, they're just now poking at the South. And like this past weekend, they were.
That's the only visit they're going to go.
Short Track Friday,
that's it.
Magnolia Saturday. Yes, that's it. I mean, they'll have them one-off, I think it's almost 10 years now. They went to Dixie Speedway, and they had another little special appearance up at Bulls Gap years ago. But they for whatever reason, they just will. I guess they don't think that they're going to draw the crowd. And then again, we have a lot of promoters that it's hard to convince them to put up that type of purse for the sprint cars because they don't think that there's sprint car fans here.
Well, yeah, but 60% of the Outlaw sprint car schedule is a rent-a-track situation.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
I mean, so throw that out the window. But what you were about to say, biggest races, sorry.
It was, you made me lose my train of thought too, Chad. It's just, the biggest race, thanks for the reminder. Like my home track, Sonoy Raceway, I literally live 5 minutes from the track over there. The biggest crowd that they will get all year is always when Pete Walton and his sprint cars come to town. There are people that will not step foot at that dirt track all year into the sprint car cars, and it's kind of mind-blowing. They'll go there, they'll go to East Alabama, they'll go to Dixie when the US sprint cars are in town, but they won't go watch a late model race there. It's the damnedest thing. And come to find out when I got to speaking with a lot of the fans that were coming, like, no, I've been a dirt track fan all my life. I'm like, well, I could go come another because I like sprint cars. Like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of retirees that have moved out of the northern and the upper Midwest areas down here, and that's their deal. They're sprint car. They're sprint car people.
Well, and I also think that, you know, sprint cars used to be really big. Like, people underestimate how big winged sprint cars were in that 80s, 90 era. I document all the time how Steve Kinser won the Eldora Kings Royal in 1984. Was $50,000 to win, and it was $47,000 to win at Talladega in NASCAR. They used to get paid really well. I think NASCAR hoodwinked the sprint car community by taking their superstars from Sammy Swindell and Steve Kinser to Cole Trickles. Because if you've noticed, ever since Cole Trickle hit the track with Jeff Gordon, the stars of sprint car racing have been the one sprint car guy who goes to NASCAR and performs well. Tony Stewart and Casey Kane, now Larson and Bell, or Larson and predominantly because of what he did, are the stars of the sprint car racing industry. That's one lucky thing y'all have with the late model industry is y'all's superstar, the guy that everyone wants to come and watch, is the late model driver racing. Nobody gives a damn about Tyler Reddick over there at all, period. They're there to see the stars that race their cars. So I do think that that's a big plus in the late model category. But sprint car racing used to be really mainstream. Really mainstream. People forget that.
It did. It's been kind of changing up the guards now. Now the late models have become more of the premier.
I think Illuminati get you.
No, I'm here. I was trying to think of the quite word to use, but it is kind of more of a spotlight now. Is more just on late model racers now, and it's now in the sprint car world.
You're definitely getting paid more, but that's because you don't have the contract system like the sprint car series. Somebody said ask Dwayne if he wants to run the 410 Southern All-Star 410 sprint cars next year if he teams up with this guy or that guy, and I'm like. Me and you could put on 100,000 to win sprint car race next week. If the Outlaws won't let their guys run, they can't run. Cody Sommers, who puts on the Gateway race, did that at Mansfield, and he couldn't get the Outlaw drivers because it wasn't an Outlaw race.
Yes, I actually listened to that interview about that, and that was crazy how politics played a huge role into that. And it's not like we don't have politics here in the late model world too, but it just shows how much power and influence you have had. One premier sanction body that has been running that entire discipline for so long and how much influence they can have. And they're still even going on right now with this whole high limit series deal. And it's kind of sad because, that was a big event. I was actually looking forward to watching. I think I did watch it on Flow. The Great Lake Cup, I think what it was with Cody Sommer.
It was the dirt track. It was like the World Sprint Car Championship, I think is what it was called.
That's correct. The Great Lake Cup was like early year deal he had for all three.
Yeah, but and Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson put their ass on the line, and me, in trying to get these guys to be free, but they all signed the contract this year. I have no sympathy for them anymore. They had an opportunity to say no and not sign that damn contract. But they signed it. 4 races is okay, Massa. That's what it is.
That is. You hit it over the head. That's going to go over some people's head with the whole Massa comment. But yes, that is.
That's what it is.
Very much. Very much what it is.
They're slaves. They do what they're told, where they can only perform where they or look at them as okay, pimp master. It's the same thing. However you want to look at it.
Yes, sir. A good pimp always keep his hoes in line.
Or he pays them well, or they go somewhere else.
Well, they'll be laws of the pimp. You'll be placed under pimp arrest, and that's going to lead to a very severe beating.
Now, something you did.
But that's that.
Oh, God. Well, the severe beating, I think one of the best things I've heard in pop culture recently on one of these reels or whatever was 50 Cent was sitting there saying, he's like, in the streets, something goes down, somebody will kill you, or you do this wrong or do that wrong, and somebody will set you up and take you out. And he's like, in this business sector, they do the same thing. They just do it with paper and pen.
That is it.
And so it's
that's the same
thing that's happening.
Is a motherfucker.
Right. they're pulling gangster moves. It's just on another level.
Yes, sir.
So
it's quite a scary deal.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of politics in the late model side. We were seeing this streaming battle now that is caused a stir. Is sanctioning versus sanctioning and the political power that's been played. It's a lot of, that's one of the dark sides that people don't get to see in this sport. Or you even got, is your position versus this other person's position. If they're in a higher spot and they feel that you could be a potential threat, they'll pull some strings, say what they got to say, and push you down from not only getting that gig, but possibly getting some more gigs.
Well, and social presence, back to the social domain. I call it the social domain, which is bigger than it's ever been. You can make things happen just sitting here talking shit on YouTube or performing on YouTube and getting that status and clout. And one of the biggest people to ever do that in recent history on YouTube is Hunt the Front. You've kind of been in that region of Hunt the Front. What's your opinion on how that whole shindig has went down, and also this streaming and series that they got, which is somewhat a competitor kind of to SAS?
Yeah, it would be in line of, yes, that would be a competitor, but I think I stated earlier, there's 7 or 8 series down here in the Southeast. And when I say Southeast, I'm talking from the far west end of West Mississippi to East Louisiana, going around Arkansas, from Kentucky back down into Florida. That would be considered, I consider the South.
Right.
Overall. Not just the borderline of the deep Southeast of Georgia, Tennessee, well, there's Georgia and its bordering states. And yeah, there is, I think the Southern All-Stars has the large, what we use the term territory. Yes, we have the largest reach because we go to Kentucky, we go to West Virginia, we go out to Mississippi, we go into Florida. Like we hit just about every state in the Southeast, but the core area ranges from the East Alabama area through Georgia all the way up to East Tennessee, and that's where the hotbed of most of your series are in. And with Joshua Joyner, what he's got going, I don't have no problem with it. He's doing what he needs to do because he is the Joyner family and the Hunt the Front team. They've made that decision that they don't want to do the regular 9-to-5 grind. They want to make their living here in racing. Well, when you do that and you're got brand new mouths to feed, you got to be able to spend that income as much as you can, especially when you got to split it amongst more people. That's the entire business. Like, they got a whole operation down there, and I don't necessarily, because I'm trying to walk the right line on this. I have no issue on what they're doing. Because of that
social domain and that social power that they got.
And, I mean, they got a hell of a front. I'm not going to lie. They have gathered great resources to be able to finally, because this isn't a deal that just came out of nowhere. Like, this is something that Joyner has been working on for about, I think Josh has been working on this about the last 2-3 years now, and finally is able to get the backing that he needs from his silent backers and the marketing partners or sponsors, whatever you want to call them, to be able to put up and do this series. And he's got a great streaming contract with Racing America that he can go offer to promoters. Like, I know we had an issue like this year with renegotiating with Flow, and we have been with Dirt on Dirt and Flow for well over 10 years. Like, we were one of the first regional series that Dirt on Dirt put their name on. That's something I don't think people know. Like, me and Michael Rigby actually have a very great relationship, but I don't think people know Michael was actually moved up the ladder in slow racing. So I know his name is still on a lot of stuff, but he's actually further up the ladder now. So we don't deal with Michael directly. He actually has a great person that is now filling his role is Miss Kendra. Miss Kendra's I love Miss Kendra. She's a wonderful person. And I've talked with her. We've had outside conversations or even business related, and built a great relationship with her. And I got nothing but respect for her. She's a 410 girl. And some people need to know too that she's a 410 girl, and I salute her for that. But we talked about trying to renew the contract and get something together to expand our live streaming. And my core group of promoters who are very much like family for me, I had to go as the spokesman for these guys, like, hey, what we've been giving them off this past contract is no longer working. Because yes, these live stream events do give money to the racetracks, but at the start of it, during the honeymoon phase, during COVID, it was fine because the exposure paid for more than what the monetary value was. But as time went on, it done changed. So when I'm booking these races and talking to these guys, they're like, who y'all doing the live stream with? I'm like, well, right now we're in negotiations. We're trying to talk with Flo and make some things happen on that end. Well, they're coming. If they're going to come shoot with y'all, we need some more money in our pocket before we book this race with you. And I think that was one way that I think Rigby, they're going to probably kill me for this after all this. It was
they already killed Izzo. They already killed Izzo. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, they're going to make up for it, though. But it was kind of a way, instead of getting the track and the direct money and them having to make separate different contracts with each track and all the other stuff, they used to turn backdoor. They kind of just backdoor their way in through the series. So we'll give the series X amount of money, and in that contract with the money we give, we're going to allocate so much money to give to the racetracks. Well, what we were given, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was pennies on the dollar. It wasn't much. And the Southern All-Stars has arguably the highest paying pound-for-pound races without a doubt in the South, but arguably in the nation as far as a regional tour. Because that's another component I've worked for, is fighting for these drivers and getting them, convincing these promoters, because promoters are responsible for the purse. They pay the purse. A lot of these sanction bodies collect the sanction fee. We keep the entry fees. That's where we get our end of the cut, and the sanction fee covers expenses, the crew, all that other stuff. Kind of like a booking fee for an act. You gotta have this artist or comedian or any type of talent come, you got to pay a booking fee. That's what that quote unquote is. And that means, we help with advertising and all that other stuff. It goes a long way. And me as a series, I really don't charge that much. It's actually pretty low. I mean, there are series that run crates and stuff that charge more than me. But anyways, they're responsible for it. So once we got to that point, I said, okay, this is what we need. I need this X amount of dollars. And it's not really on trying to get the series money, because we're a shoestring budget series. We have been for years upon years, long before I came to this world. We've been around 40 years. I don't need this money necessarily for operating costs on the series. We've been getting by, which is not good. It's just been survival because of all the series. But I got to get this money in the hands of the promoters. These promoters need
They're
to
funding
really
the show.
help off. They're funding the show. This is their event. This is their venue. They have to get their lion's share of it. We actually had got to that number. And at the start of the year, the powers above, even Rigsby, decided they were going to do a huge budget slash. And when they did that, that cut a lot of the little guys out. I mean, like Southern All-Stars and a couple of your local tracks like Lincoln Speedway and a whole host of others. A lot of content getting lost because they did a big budget slash. So that put us out there in left field looking like, okay, well, what we're going to do? I got tracks that want to run the race. They want these races live stream, and they can't get it. And I'm asking this promoter to go spend, like my $10,000 purse runs about 40, I think the actual dollar amount was like $46,350. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. For
not guaranteed that you're going to have Jonathan Davenport, Brandon Overton, and these, you know, household names that are going, that just by their presence in that track is probably going to sell enough 300 tickets, whether it's front gate or back gate, that's probably going to bring about another 200 to 500 people. So we're asking for a lot. So Barry, love him to death, he came in, made us an offer. Ran this by Matt, the owner of the series. Talked with my promoters, like, hey, this is what they were like, and they said, hell yeah, let's do it. And that's how XR got into this deal with us, which is actually is allowing us to be able to compete with a lot of the other series and keep the series around, and now going to allow these tracks to get their due off of running these shows. Now, go back to the front thing. Joshua Joyner, he's already got a huge core base audience. Him, Joseph, Jesse.
Right, he's got free advertising, basically.
Your words, not mine. They have a good core balance of people. They have a great brand that comes with a lot of things. They can advertise this. It's something new, it's something shiny. Just because it's new and shiny doesn't mean that it's great, but they're bringing something new because it's a new series. You've had Southern All-Stars. You had Ray Cook and the Schaefer Oil's family of tours that he promotes. You got the Carolina Clash, the Ultimate Southeast Series, MSCCS, Comp Cams, Ironman, now North and the South. You know, we've had all these new series now, and you got a new kid coming in and basically, you know, kind of taking a lot of space with a lot of other people. So we got another person entering the arena, so now we got to create more rooms to get them in. So, like me and Josh, we're on good terms. We don't have any issues. We talk. We need to talk. No problem, but it's trying to find a balancing act to acknowledge that, okay, yes, y'all have a series in, so now I got to adjust my schedule to not topple on top of yours. There's this attitude that there's just a buku amount of just drivers out here in the South. And yes, there's enough drivers to go around, but when you got 8 series that decide to run on one weekend, there's only so many people we can go around, and we can only tiptoe around each other so much. And that's what's kind of causing a little friction on that side of things. And I hate that, but it's just a nature of competition in the business.
Well, I mean, in the allure market of a track or a promoter, I mean, what Hunt the Front and Joseph Joyner brings to the table is a pretty big dick.
That's true. That goes like that BDE.
It's just as, I mean, honestly, they are a bigger brand than pretty much every dirt brand there is right now. They're bigger than the World of Outlaws. I mean, views, numbers-wise, they're a bigger brand. They're one of the biggest brands in dirt racing. Uh-oh. I think we said the D word, and it said no more. Oh. Hold on. I think I said the D word, and it didn't like it.
No, it didn't. I was wondering what shut me down. I went, huh?
They got us now. They got us now. The women got us.
I'm not going to say that.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to say that. Yeah. But
It's a lot. It's a big competitor. I mean, you're not just going up against some guy starting a series paying good. You're going up against the guy who, if I'm a track promoter, I'm like, all right, well, what do you offer? It ain't just like purse and streaming. It's notoriety. They got the numbers they could throw on the table and say, here's how many people are going to know about your race instantly. You know, it's a partnership thing when you're signing those guys now.
And they have those resources. I know they've been able to attract a good group of regional guys that are going to start off with the series. And those series, they always start off with more than they're going to end. But they've attracted some new guys. They got a great point fund and offering a lot of incentives that a lot of the more older and established brands are not able to offer the competitors now. So it's not like, oh, we feeling salty or nothing like that. When you got your shit together, you just got your shit together. So I salute them on that side of the deal. It's just now we just got to get some things worked out. And I'm not gonna lie, I've actually have lost tracks that we've been going to because they're able to bring a different type of marketing ability and show a little different than what they've already than what we've been giving and showing.
Yeah.
So I've lost some tracks and races there, and this is business season. That's what it is. It is what it is. So I gotta let them try it out. If it works for them, they'll bring them back. If it don't, I'm pretty sure I'll be giving a call or a text, say, hey, what you got open next year? We'd love to have you back. That's just part of that this new shiny syndrome thing that people are on.
Well, but it's Jake Paul, Logan Paul-esque in the boxing world. You know.
Yeah, along that line, you know. Even though Logan Paul did a phenomenal job in his match against Roman Reigns back in December, I had to bring in.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, they're bringing in that angle that just brings more eyes and money. It's going to be hard to compete against that regionally. Like if they were trying to do something national, it may be okay, or you know, a little more fair of a fight. But it ain't really a fair of a fight going up against y'all's regional gig down there. It's hard for a little guy to compete against that.
Yeah, it's changed the game, and it's going to be something that me and some other city directors, we're going to have to look at going into next year. We're going to try to continue to try to keep guys wanting to actually travel the entire deal. Because we're gotten to the point now where there's so many series, that means there's more races. Why travel for points and chase a tour when you can just bounce around and go race?
Like Jonathan Davenport last year.
That's correct. It's a domino effect. Once it starts up top, it's going to work its way down.
Right.
And that's where these guys got it.
Well, but at the same time, you saw the reaction this year from the late model world was a record number in series signups.
Yes, that is also very true. And now we got it's different on that national end, though, because, what Lucas and Outlaws, I don't know where the hell they went and got this money from. And it kind of blows my mind because where was this money 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? How come we weren't offering these drivers these package deals then? Because that's always been their talking with a lot of drivers, this has always been their biggest deal. What are y'all going to do for us to make us want to follow you? What am I getting from this?
Right.
Other than, okay, I'm going to have my name out there. Okay, well, we're running for half decent money. You know, stuff along that nature.
I think it came down to Barry Braun going out there and offering single race alluring packages. That was very, very alluring, obviously. And the only way the series could think about keeping guys on all year long was to offer more.
I 100% agree with that. I might be in the minority of that. Because
that's just common fucking sense. If it's just me and the black guy with common sense in this racing world, stop drinking alcohol now and beating your kids.
That is 100% correct, my friend. What he has done now, it wasn't all all due respect to Cody Sommer and what he did, that was actually, to me, I felt like that was ahead of his time, but somebody had to step out and do it. So I respect Cody for what he did. Barry's proven that he's not going to be somebody that's not going to be a fly-by-night promoter. Because the time I worked under him at a couple events last year, to the renewed entries that he has done for just us on the regional end, I mean, I've gotten more than, out of all this drama with the turkey chest bumping at Cherokee with Overton and Mann and the Hammergate incident at Southern, I mean, the amount of promotion that XR has provided just for the Southern All-Stars long has been absolutely incredible. And that's something that we were lacking as a series. And we hadn't been getting that with some of the other people we work with. And I'm not taking a shot at Flow. I'm not taking a shot at Dirt Streams or any of these other streaming companies and promotional companies that have partnered with Southern All-Star. Because Flow's not the only one that's broadcast Southern All-Star races. We've been on MAV TV. We've been on Speed 51. We work with various groups. But XR right now has been the one that has really shown that, hey, we're a partner. We're in this together. We're going to treat y'all just as good as we're going to treat the XR Super Series, our national brand. We're going to treat y'all just like anything else that we got going. We're putting it all in. And that's what's making the difference. Even talking with Mr. Tony Adair up there in Cherokee and Tom Lowry down there in Milton, Florida, and these guys that so far have had the experience, and even last year when we was had a smaller partnership with XR on promoting. A lot of these promoters have been impressed with what Barry has done, and they've actually, when XR name came up, saying that, hey, we're gonna live stream y'all with XR. I mean, they were fine with it. They were like, yeah, we cool with that. So I hope people understand that this whole making Barry Brundage out to be some kind of notorious bad guy, and he's trying to shake up the status quo and just change the face of racing. He's just making smart business tactics.
Well, I mean, he did change the face of racing a little bit, but isn't it technically for the good? Even the series have to admit that now, because even though he kind of threw the big dick money on the table and got these guys to not commit to a particular series last year, that's the only, in the common sense world, that's the only reason that the series stepped up like they did and started offering all that they have.
That is 100% truth, man. And this man, you know, he could have took a huge financial loss stepping out on doing what he did. And I appreciate him doing that and showing that the business model that we have had and been using for umpteen number of years is not working anymore. It's time to change up what we're doing. We need to get more money back into the promoters' hands so they can afford to run these races and offset this cost. We need to be able to get more money in the driver's hands so they can continue to race and operate and get more money back into the series hands so we can keep some type of government, when I say government, some type of governing body out there, more than one, so it doesn't fall to one particular dominant force like our big brother NASCAR has done.
Right. Or like sprint car racing's done.
Yes. You know, we can't deny World of Outlaws have completely, I mean, they hold the dominant force in 410 sprint car racing, period. Without a doubt, when people think of 410 sprints or almost pretty much sprint cars in general, the first thing comes to mind is the World of Outlaws. Any driver, I think you were talking about this on one of your last deals, that when people want to win something, their moniker in sprint car racing is being a World of Outlaw champion. Not winning the Kings Royal,
right.
Not winning the Knoxville National, not winning the National Open.
Right.
Yeah. is being the World Outlaw Champion. And that means something. I wish we actually had that here on the late model side.
Yeah,
That's
don't have
something
that. Yeah.
We've gotten away from. We used to have it. It used to be more of a kind of thing probably through the 90s going into the early 2000s. You wanted to be the
Have a Tampa
Dirt Series champion or the UDTRA champion or being the Stars Series champion or Southern All-Stars champion. I mean, and just to give people a history lesson on just how impactful Southern All-Stars is, Southern All-Stars gave birth to Have a Tampa. In the year 1993, when Clint Smith won his lone national championship, it was the Southern All-Stars Have a Tampa Dirt Series. And we ran about 2 years together. From there, Mike Swims wanted to take the series nationally. Our founder, B.J. Parker, wanted to keep it regionally. So Mike Swims, the late Mike Swims, took Have a Tampa, the money from Jimmy Monsteller that he was getting from Have a Tampa Cigars, and ran off into Illinois and Ohio and all these other places. And B.J. Parker kept the Southern All-Stars name down here in the South. So just to let y'all know, so y'all know who y'all fucking with. The Southern All-Stars is that shit.
Now, I would say to that, along with the Barry Bonds situation, the only negative to Barry Bonds' situation is he showed others another way to do things. And I don't think without a Barry Bonds situation, you're not having a Hunt the Front situation that you're having down there right now. I think Barry Bonds paved the way for that type of series structure. This is true.
That's a private conversation that was had, not necessarily with Barry Bonds, but that was a private conversation that we kind of had with this.
Well, the world's monkey see, monkey do.
Exactly. 100%. And them having this live stream approach, and they're not going to be the last one. I mean, Bears kind of was the first to do it with the XR Super Series, where a streaming company gave birth to their own series, and the Castrol kind of Flow gave birth with theirs with the Castrol Flow Night Racing in America, and you know, now we've got a regional version of that with the Hunt the Front tour. Like I said, I'm not knocking on them they doing. I actually salute the player in them because that's real player-tastic moves that they making. But
I'm telling you right now, that's just a real big entity that y'all are up against. And the any other traditionalists that love the Southern All-Stars or the traditionalist way of doing it down there with tours, all your little satellite tours y'all got down there need to get together. Y'all are going to have to gang up on this Hunt the Front thing or y'all going to get beat in the ground. It is what it is. It's that big of a damn entity.
That's something I don't think that's going to happen. Everybody's kind of in for their own, and I'm not even into this jumping crap. It's kind of one of them deals where it may be a deal where we may be putting the cart before the horse on this type of situation. Because they yet to still run their first race, so we don't know how this is going to play out. It looks good right now. On paper, it looks good. We got this points fund, and we got these. We haven't seen a purse yet. We don't know what these purses are paying. We don't know specifically the teching process that's supposed to be done. All we know is what the glamour that has been put out front. And I know the people's going to think that I'm probably throwing some shade or something, but I've been in the business long enough that when you're putting something like this together, you got to have all your ducks in a row. Because we share tracks, we share promoters. There's still questions that haven't been answered yet, and they're about to have the race here in 3 weeks, and they're still waiting on answers.
But star power is so powerful. It's so powerful. You know, I was talking to a racetrack recently, but let's do a sprint car race. He's like, well, if you can get Tony Stewart and Kyle Larson here, let's do it. They don't even care about having a World Outlaw event. They want Tony Stewart or Kyle Larson because they know that star power they bring so many eyes and attention to what they're doing. You know, and that's what I mean. That's the entity I'm talking about that you are up with, that star power that they bring to the table. And there ain't nothing but a phone call away from getting a Cletus McFarlane there or this, that, or the other. You know, to where you can't compete with something like that. It's going to be hard to compete with something like that, numbers-wise.
Well, the average fan now, you have your hardcore intellectual fans that are diehards and they understand a certain name showing up, but this is just me. The average dirt fan now, we've gotten so many series out there, the name itself necessarily doesn't carry unless it's something like a World of Outlaws or a Southern All-Star that is or a Ray Cook Schaefer's Tour that's a long-term established name that'll draw people. But now it's just, oh, you got a super late model race coming in town? Well, I know what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing that weekend. That's kind of where we're getting now into this sport.
Right.
The name
Which
of
doesn't
the
favor you.
is not caring as much. No, it doesn't. Unless, again, you got an established name like us that I know for a fact that I got a lot of the next generation talking about, hey, my granddaddy talked about y'all series, and my dad went to a bunch of y'all races and stuff like that that's able to carry. That's one advantage that I can give for the Southern All-Stars is that we do have the name power. But that can only carry you so far in this business now. Right.
Well, the hope is that, it's a bunch of these Gen Z people watching Hunt the Front that don't ever get outside their house. That's the hope.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna go driving, across town because they're 14 years old anyway.
That's correct. And I mean, I think what's also helped Southern All-Stars is that the commentator, the lingo he uses, has been able to connect to the Gen Z generation, and I guess Gen A now. I think that's the current new
I don't
generation.
know. Not sure.
I think that's what they call them now. I think they're Gen A now.
Those are the ones writing that dumbass CNN article earlier. Those are the ones right there.
Yes. Yes. Those 2000 babies, but that's been another big help for the series that I can properly use the lingo and they can relate to it and draw into it versus a lot more of our longer tenured announcers that, have their certain style and say the stuff that people from then or from back then are able to relate to, or just that very clean cut style of announcing where it doesn't go outside the box kind of deal.
Well, we got to keep you outside the damn box. Speaking of announcers, I do want to announce to you, Barry Braun has entered the chat and he says he has video evidence that Michael Rigsby of Michael Rigsby and Ben Shelton kissing. Any reaction?
Oh my. Michael had to go a long way down, didn't he?
Oh my God, that's so mean. Well, at least if you got hair that pretty.
Guy. I mean, okay, and I know these two good enough. Rigsby's like 6'2", I believe, at least, and Shelton's like 5'8". And I don't know if that's being generous. I think in reality, he's like 5'8". And that's if he was bald headed, he'd be like 5'8". So he's gonna have to dip down if he's kissing.
Is that why he uses the gel and sticks it up to add a couple inches?
I think that's just.
I like Ben Shelton a lot. I'm just messing around.
Yeah,
he's really nice.
Yeah, I think that's just big swag. Him and DJ, they're pretty awesome. And shout out to James Essex and Cody Early, Spanky, a whole host of these nationally recognized announcers out there. Mike Norris, Joe Peterson. Shout out to my brother on the West Coast, Ruben, what he's doing too.
Mm-hmm.
And the boundaries he's breaking. We've had private conversations on some of the stuff he's dealing with that I'm not going to put out on that, but he's had a similar walk that he's had to do with being a Latino American coming into this sport, and people not quite used to that as well, so shout out to him, and this will be just a kick-ass person.
Right. Ruben's good. Ruben's good. It sucks how he got the job, though.
Well, you know what? That's how I got my job as series director.
Well, I mean, and that's just the cycle of life, right?
Right. You know, the guy, Mr. Lynn Ackman, may he rest in peace, he passed away 3 years, and I was the one that was pretty much just really wasn't even asked, or like, you just want to do it, like, hey, here's the job, go do it. You know, it was, and that's, the one that was been in the game with Southern for a long time, they haven't, some of them still haven't kind of grasped that yet, and they were cool when I was announcing. Now it's, I don't kind of like you being the man that's in charge calling the shots and stuff like that, and that's, getting used to that is like, I mean, what am I doing so bad? You don't have an answer. It's just, I don't know. It's just a weird deal. To me, that's mad weird. Real mad weird shit.
As far as what?
It's just one moment, you know, it was when just the announcer all right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we're loving it. Now you're kind of in a position of power. It's like, I don't know how I feel about it being you. Like, me personally, I've been doing it for 30 years. I think so. Maybe some of the things, maybe some past personal issues. I don't know. I might have made bad choices that maybe didn't go so well with people. I don't know. It's just been a different kind of attitude that I've gotten from some that were very close to the founder, BJ Parker and stuff. And now that I'm in a position, it's like they just got a negative tone about me being the guy in that position.
In what way, though?
I mean, that's
just jealousy or envy, or
I can't say jealousy or envy. I don't know if it might be some deeper undertone that I may not understand, but it's just a weird deal.
Well, anytime it seems like anytime
people.
Well, it seems like when a black guy has a father and he was raised correctly, that's intimidating, apparently.
Yes, I do know my dad, and he did raise me. Yes, he did.
That is well. Back to some real talk. That is an unfortunate situation out there, I think. You know, as far as emulation is concerned, if you don't get influenced, and I was talking about this earlier today. Actually, I was at a hotel room last night, and there was these kids just running wild in the hallways, and some single mom situation, and it's like, you know, if you don't have a proper person to emulate off of, you start emulating on the pop culture leaders, which is the worst people to try to emulate. You know, but that's what the TV box shows us. You know, and that's a horrible situation that seems to be pretty regular nowadays.
Yeah, I think Obama went through the same thing or some shit like that, but it's just one of them deals where, I don't know, it's been a different feel with some people that I were near and dear to, and now it's just kind of a different treatment now. And they don't have an answer, because I'm the type, I always go to the source. I don't like to do the he said, she said, well.
Right. I'm the same way. You got something to say, what the fuck you got to say?
And I do it in a little nicer tone. I ain't going back to them days of slap a whole site. But
come on, man.
You know, I'm there it is. I'm calmed down in my getting older.
It's all about throwing it up. That's what I'm talking about. We get down to the bottom of it. Throw it up.
That's it. There go another damn Lil Jon song. But it's just, you know, I've always, like, it was a past incident I had where I was getting different people from different, just unrelated to the said party, telling me stuff, and every last one of them has had the same thing to say, so I had to go and confront this person. When I said confront, literally meaning, hey, I'm hearing things like, you have an issue, just tell me straight up. I'm not going to get mad. I ain't going to threaten to come shoot up your house and fuck your bitch kind of shit like that. No, I'm not going to do nothing like that. It's like, I'm just trying to understand so we can have an understanding going forward, but it's just been a different tone with a lot of people as of late. I know there are some that has an issue with us being aligned with Barry Brun, which I still haven't quite understand. I mean, that was the smartest business move we could have made at this current moment with the options given, but that's because they have an issue with Barry Brun. They don't have an issue with Dewayne Keith or the Southern All-Stars. But you're guilty by association. But there's others that I don't know. I don't. It's just, I've been hanging around too many young folks. It's just mad weird. It just really is. It's just mad weird vibes with a lot of them.
So it was people that was treating you a certain way when you were just announcer guy, but then when you became in charge guy, I guess that in charge guy aligned right with getting together with XR guy?
Yeah, those are kind of like two separate situations, and then there's some that don't want to acknowledge me being in this current position, which is I don't get either. It's like, well, who do I need to talk to? Like, it's kind of like, well, can I speak to the manager? I am the manager.
And they kind of disregard that.
Well, I need to speak to the head general manager. I am the head general manager. Well, who's the owner? Here's the owner, but he's not going to go over the man that he put in place to deal with this.
So you're kind of getting disregarded in an authority position.
Yeah, it on some of them types when they had a few drivers that had that incident and they don't like the decision we made. Well, we're going to go with this. I'm going to tell other people not to come run your series. I'm going to tell track they need to drop you. And I'm like, what in the hell? That's where that whole I quit post and stuff was coming from right there. There was a lot of stuff along that nature. It had literally nothing to do with GR and Ashton Winger. It was, I don't like what you're doing on this. I don't like the decision you're making on that. I don't agree with this. And since you're not going to do it my way, we're going to go on Yelp and give you or Google and give you a 1-star and tell people not to do it. But it was coming from people that I've had built a personal relationship with, great friends with, and people I've actually had great admiration and respect for. Now and also being the same people that I fought to get these purses built up for and trying to, fighting for their end. And because I've always been a proponent for fighting for the working man and the lesser named people to help build them up and understanding that there's only one winner, only top 5 are going to get a good share, but the ones that are running 6 off that 24, they deserve good money just as much as the ones right up front. And now those are the ones that are turning on me. I'm like, it was kind of like a betrayal deal. Like, where is this coming from all of a sudden? Like, why are y'all that far in your feelings? And it was like stuff that they have said that has built up to this point where now is an issue. Like, why do y'all come to me before when you plant the seed before it sprouted? Why we had to wait till it became a full-blown tree before you decide to do something about it? Because I can fix the situation or the issue sooner than later. If I know about it,
check engine light.
And the ones that know that.
Right. A check engine light instead of the motor just blowing up.
Right. Exactly it. And the ones that know that, I've been able to work with, and they see that, and they see that I'm fighting and working with them and trying to get things done for them. But when you turn on me, like, I feel Tony Izzo on his loyalty speech and about the loyalty of the sport. there's a lot of people, and that's a conversation I've had to have with some other people. Like, loyalty goes big with me. That's just how I was raised up, coming up. That loyalty thing is huge. And Tony made some key points when he said that, you know, the loyalty thing is all about, you got to get what you can get or you're going to be left out. And that's kind of not fair. But it is what it is. I've had some people that have turned on me and decided to go in a different direction with people that I could consider my ops. Like, like, bro, you going over there, you fucking with my ops. Like, you know, that ain't a cool move. Like, you know, that's going to make it harder for you to want to come back over and for us to kick shit again like we were doing back in the past, like way younger years now, because now you fucking with my ops and guilty by association. If you fuck with them, that means you're going to turn your back on me, and I don't rock with that type of shit.
So basically, we used to toss your tire samples, now we're sending them in.
Oh, I've always sent in tire samples. Yeah,
that's
always,
how it goes. That loyalty system, you know, it's always like
yeah. Like I don't know what happened. There's some promoters out there I've talked with. Like we can't understand what has happened to loyalty all of a sudden.
Okay. Now I know you can't give me a word for word. You ain't gonna Tony Izzo it, and you ain't gonna drop some names. But give me a scenario without naming the people of what happened and how it happened that you feel like this is occurred.
You know, I'd rather just go and skip over that, because as soon as I explain the situation, it's not going to be hard to put two and two together.
For me, it will be. For most people, it will be. For most people,
it will be. Listening.
Well, those are the ones that need to hear it.
Not all the ones listening, because they're going to put two and two together, then you're going to see somebody that's going to hear it, and they're going to say, hey, you need to listen to this. Who is he talking about? Then they're going to put up a post like somebody else did this past week because they was touched by somebody, what they heard from this. And I'm trying to say that draw, because I'm going to have to see these people out here hit these tracks again, and I'm not going to do this pump fake shit and got to tiptoe around you because you feeling some type of way and all that other stuff. I'm just not with that fake pump shit. It
seems like, though, the situation's going to be there regardless, you know?
I mean, I've already told you like this. If they feeling some type of way, just call and talk to them. Stop.
But they're not. They're hanging with the ops.
If I see it, I know how to go the other way. I'm too old to be getting into this drama and this politics because you rock with this person. I can't fuck with you, or you decide to go fuck with this person because I decided not to want to work with you on this type of situation. And so now you're going to go fuck with my ops, but you call it a business decision why you couldn't work with me on this end, on this type of situation. So it's a lot of convoluted madness shit going on. That's why I was in that. You know what? I quit. I quit. I ain't got to do this shit for all this stuff. And there was some great people like Bill Pinos that talked me off the edge, and Barry Braun, he was another great name. Stan Lester. I mean, there's some people that I didn't even think cared about me like that reached out. I mean, there's several more names, and if I'm missing, I'm so sorry, guys. I ain't trying to plug one over another. A lot of great drivers and friends that I've reached out and talked me off the edge, but when I turn around and I look who had my back on a lot of situations, I see who was there for me at this time, and the ones who I thought were there for me are nowhere to be seen. So now I don't know exactly how I'm going to deal with that. And even shout out to Eugene and his wonderful wife and Lucas' mom. Lucas Johnson, one of my little buddies. Her reaching out. I look up to that kid so much. I love that little kid. and Chris Ferguson and his family, his mother reached out. Chris and Brandon reached out. It was just different people. Matt Dooley, our Southern All-Star champion, just a lot of great people and a lot of people in the circle. Jason Walker at Thunder Hill Raceway, and names that go on. Like I said, it was Scott Childers at Livonia Speedway. Just a lot of names, and they talked me off the ledge. Chris Martin down there Coddington, big shout out to him. He gets a lot of slack for a lot of stuff, but the man is about one of the realest. He's about one of the realest soldiers out there that's out here handling his business like a real man, and I salute him for that. Just stuff like that.
So it sounds like a situation, since you're in the position that you are, it's one of those you can forgive, but you're not going to forget.
Exactly, and I think that's where Tony Izzo was pointing out with a lot of them. It was, yeah, you hurt me, you did me wrong, but you know what? I can forgive you now, but I'm not going to forget this situation when we get back down the road. When if you come back and work with that doesn't mean that I'm not going to work with you. I'm just going to watch myself how I operate and move around you.
Well, I think with Izzo though, there's an element there, and I think that's why he got a lot of apologies. There's a lot of narcissistic tendencies in this racing world, especially on the business sector and behind closed doors. And when you call a narcissist out publicly, that's when they get really scared and start acting right, because a narcissist cares about their image more than anything there is. So I get what you're saying, the in front deal, but it is a new age. There's a new business model to handle this stuff nowadays too, that can get these people to straighten up without having to whoop their ass at the racetrack, you know.
Yeah, but see, I'm old school. We usually just pull up, whoop a whole ass and get the fuck up on out of that kind of deal, you know. But we can't do that now. As state, you'll go to jail for putting.
Exactly. That's why I'm giving you the only avenue to deal with them legally, technically. And somebody said, "Why the Ben hate?" I don't know where Ben Shelton got extremely offended by what Izzo said. I didn't really hear his name but like once or twice. But outside of that situation, I don't think Ben was even.
Is that what he was posting?
That's apparently it was something about Izzo. I think that's what everybody's assuming. That's what Izzo assumes. I really don't know where that came from. I mean, I could see how some people were upset, but I really don't know where or why Ben was one of those who was upset.
Ben's been going through some stuff, though.
Possibly.
Ben's got some stuff in his personal life that he's going through that he's trying to kind of work his way through. And, you know, people like Ben always posts his inspirational posts and showing successes of his life. When that stuff kind of slows down, it was time to let me know that he's probably got some stuff going on. I know he just buried a long lost friend and stuff, so it might have been one of them deals that he's got some stuff going on and he heard something and it could have been perceived. It
hit harder than it should.
And that's, yeah. So I learned that was a past incident too, and I was already kind of in a bad space, but hearing that this person said about after me and this person have already had a personal talk, and I thought we had moved on, but apparently more words started. The industry started telling me stuff that this person's going out there, you know, talking that shit about you again. It's like, dude, I thought we had got this shit straight. And you're like, well, who said all this other stuff? I'm not finna name drop. I ain't finna name drop. It's just, no, it ain't this, it ain't that person, it ain't this person. Not the ones who you think it is. Actually, people that are not associated with these parties that tell me that you talking this shit. Like, you talking real mad ish right now. And so what we finna do about it? And this party apologized, and I respect them for it, but it's like, this isn't the first time this one came around. This isn't the second time this one came around. This is the third time now this is happening. So now I don't know if I should take your word for face value like I was before or now. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just real odd shit. And it's even some on, You really trying to make me name drop?
Oh, you don't know. I was talking about Ben Shelton, man. I was saying sorry. I mean, I hope Ben Shelton wasn't offended.
Parties even that way that.
Hey, I mean,
because there's some parties out that way. No, it's not being. There's some parties out that way. I've heard the words that are now started to come around and about situations, and I went to them about it, and now it's kind of like they're trying to backtrack and stuff, and I'm like, dude, what, like, because if this is what I'd rather do. I'd rather, instead of getting on and doing it on this live conversation we're having, I'd rather just go and just tag them on Facebook or social media and say, hey, such and such, why am I hearing that you in these streets talking that shit? They're just going to make a spectacle out of it. That way people can get the screenshots. This person then can really be held accountable then. If I have to look like an ass, I might have to look like an ass.
But, I mean, if you do it on the Chaz's YouTube, you know, Kyle Larson and Downey Shots will watch. You know, David Gravel. I mean, Mark Richards will be all in it, you know? I mean.
I have
you don't have to name drop. I am not trying to influence you to name drop. Like, I feel like I was hurt that Ben was hurt over whatever Izzo said, and Izzo, I don't think that Izzo. I don't even think Izzo meant to offend Ben in particular. I think possibly what you're saying is more so accurate, where it was something little bitty that was maybe a little bit bigger. Because maybe I don't think we should be speaking on if Ben has a personal issue either. We don't know that at all, but you know, sometimes a sentence can hurt or hit a different way than how you meant to say it, or anything along those lines, you know. I mean, interpretation is big, you know.
That's exactly it. That's what I was like, But when we were having that conversation, something else that came to my mind from earlier this year, too, that was this. I don't want to get into, that's why I don't want to get into the name drop that Mr. Izzo did, because then it's going to start another shit, and then we're going to be like, well, it's drama when you get on, when you know it's the Chaz show, it's going to be nothing but some name-calling bullshit, and I ain't trying to do all that.
No, that's bullshit.
I'm just not that type of person.
Hey, it ain't my fault.
I'm not that type of person.
Did I do that? It ain't my fault. That's what I'm saying. It ain't my fault.
Oh,
it ain't my fault.
No limits closure.
Somebody said earlier, they said, Chaz, how do you get people to be so candid? As someone that has been publicly not your biggest fan, I can't appreciate it. So they're loving it. They're loving it. The people love it. They, for some reason, people get on here and just start ripping. I don't know why. It's not my fault. You know what it is?
I mean,
you know what I really think it is? The whole damn racing world saw me go after Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson and NASCAR and all these motherfuckers, and they're like, well, nobody can be a bigger idiot looking than this guy, so I'll get on here, and even if I say some dumb shit, I can't say half what he has. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I empower you people to not be scared about the thoughts you have in your mind.
I see. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to touch that Kyle Larson, man. So
oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
We had a situation at PRI back in 2019 that I'm not. The ones that know, but I'm going to leave that one alone. It was just the look on his face when he see me at Charlotte interviewing Victor Lane that kind of like something just went, oh shit.
Who are you referring to? Hello?
Hello?
It went quiet there. Who are you referring to?
Anyway, so how's your day today, Chad?
It sounds like it's cold trickle shiny.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to get into much more on this negative stuff. I'm gonna let it.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna let these sleeping dogs lie.
I was trying to apologize to Ben Shelton. That's what I was attempting to do. I don't know what you did.
Yeah, I went off the rails that time.
It sounds like you got some pent-up frustration, man. Sometimes you gotta vent it out.
I got a lot of it. I can't put everything on Front Street.
You know.
Some stuff just can't go on Front Street, Chaz.
Well, that was kind of my response to the Izzo interview. If you got a problem with him venting like he is, you know, We might have one more announcer if that guy could have been able to vent. Sometimes you don't know what's going on in a man's mind, and we've been brought up in a community that tells all the men to just keep it in, deal with it on your own. Shut the fuck up. You got to deal with it. And the next thing you know, an announcer's missing and he's dead because he wasn't able to let his emotions out.
And that's something I was about to say. That's probably why one of my biggest mentors, heroes, and damn close friend is not here with us now because of demons he couldn't deal with.
Right. So, I mean, same demons were in Izzo. He's got to say some name and say this name. Maybe that's what those demons needed to hear to get the hell out of him.
Here's a funny story why I remember the Izzo family when they actually used to race super late models. H to the Izzo by Jay-Z. You gotta, yeah. The first time I ever seen him race down here in the South, that song by Jay-Z was actually the big hit song on the radio at the time. They said, Tony Izzo. I was like, hey, it's H to the Izzo. So, yeah, that's kind of me being goofy there. Excuse me.
Do you know that a local news anchor was fired for saying for Shizzo my Nizzo?
I'm glad you cleaned that last part up.
That's what she said. No. That's the quote. She's fired because she said that.
Well, she's also made a comment before that I don't think she knew what she was saying.
I mean,
I don't think she did.
I'm just saying.
People gotta understand. You gotta be careful how close you get to certain words now. Like you can't,
Oh, you can. You just gotta be willing to take the whipping that this world's gonna give you.
That's true. That's true. But if just save yourself the headache unless you just want to be a controversial figure. Kind of deal, Chaz.
Oh, I'm just saying. Apparently, I can't share any memes anymore, or I'm blackfacing. That's what CNN told me.
Yeah, and then there's also CNN too.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on.
Well, both the news stations, they just take extreme examples and try to paint, blankets of people with those examples.
You get viewers off that.
You get clicks. Yeah, I told the girlfriend, she's the one that found that article. I was like, you understand that they're making money on your white guilt in that, because you're like, that they better not be talking about me, or I don't want to be racist, so they click it, so they're not that person, and then it's like so stupid. It's like that article that was written earlier in the year that Kyle Larson wasn't going to run the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl because of the Lucas Oil Late Model Championship. Like, that was on Essential Sports.
All right, so you mentioned your girlfriend. Now I got to ask.
Oh, God.
How in the world did you get that dime piece you got, Chaz?
There's a lot to the story. It was a mixture of my rap song at Bristol and my lives on Facebook.
Okay. I was like, Chaz, that you got that dime piece? I mean, wow.
She messaged me. I think you won when they message you.
Okay.
It's usually the other way around.
I see the pippin in there. Okay.
I'm just saying, I put in a lot of work at Bristol, and it paid off.
It definitely worked out. That's what I was looking like. You. Damn, Chaz. I tip my hat to you.
Oh, come on. You've got plenty. I don't even want to know about your dirty stories. I don't even want to know. Oh, yeah. Listen to that voice. The voice of a liar.
Oh, everybody swear I did got hoes. I ain't got hoes. I got pros. It's different.
Hey, man. I've seen those Kako videos.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Those whiteys are weird, man.
What's funnier, though, is that I've actually been more successful with black women now than I've actually been more successful in my life prior to, which is funny.
It's weird.
That's a candid moment right there. Yes, I've actually, because I've always been more successful dating outside of my ethnicity than I have before announcing. Now that I'm an announcer now, I'm actually getting ladies of my same ethnicity, and it's like, well, where the hell y'all sisters been?
Yeah, it's weird.
But,
They want that different life now. Everybody wants, the country person. It's weird. Kane Brown. Blame Kane Brown.
Yeah, I guess Bubba he just turned the sisters back on to me again or something. It's like, what the hell y'all been? I've been trying to get a hoe for a minute now. Now I'm getting Shaquisha, Shanisha, Letitia, and Phoenicia. Like, what?
Well, I'm just flattered you called my girlfriend a dime piece. I try to tell her she is, but women are psychologically ruined from birth to be insecure. It's insane.
Where the hell she's? Oh.
Hey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Look, even the Kardashians think they're ugly. They're cutting themselves up into pieces and injecting their lips and ass. They were fine.
Yeah. Kim actually was quite right. I don't know why she had it. Just a lot of these women in general, even like they showed a older picture of Nicki Minaj before she even had the stuff done. Like, why did you do it? And
right.
The new scissor, like slim, beautiful, chocolate, beautiful queen, and she went and got a BBL and lips, and it's like, why did you do that? But I guess it's self-body image, positivity, whatever the words are to go with that. If that's what makes them happy, let them do it.
Well, it don't make no money for them to be secure with themselves. There's a whole industry out there that preys on them feeling ugly.
I don't know why, but
pays the bills. Why does the guy get the big truck and the big house? Same thing.
That's true.
Same thing.
Wow. Yeah. Whatever,
I mean, I don't see him getting that big old concrete queen to go through the mud. They're trying to attract the opposite sex.
Or same sex, everybody like what they like.
Oh, and I say this, to people who believe that, women are used for, the patriarchal view of just a object, the misogynistic viewpoint, and throughout history, that has a lot of facts to it. Okay, that's fine. But the men of history have always been exploited and used in these systems for their labor. Like, that's something I think people don't understand. Like, the goal of this system is to use us men for our labor. And if you can be exploited in the labor department, it's the same as being exploited in the sexual department for the women.
Chad, I could almost call you an intellectual, Chad.
I mean, it's just factual. The dollar bill's the new whip, man. The dollar bill's the new whip. You traditionally whipped a man because you needed to do that to get him to do something he doesn't want to do. And in today's world, all you have to do is just give him money. It's the same result.
That's true.
And then you give him things to buy with the money, and he has the illusion of freedom.
What's the old wrestling chat DiBiase? Everything has a price.
That's why I don't make my decisions based on money,
I try not to, but, that whole Jerry Maguire and Cuba Gooding Jr. show me the money, money talk.
Well, I mean, I try to do as much as I can to keep my own thing going. I think individuality is huge for sure. And you at least got that. You're working for yourself, but you were also saying you work 2 jobs throughout the week.
Yeah.
What they got you out there doing? What they got you out there in the field doing?
I'm a stripper / gigolo.
Well, Do you have any reference cards, or I mean?
No, I'm kidding. I'm a forklift driver, warehouse lead by day. I serve as bartender at night and some weekends when I'm not racing, and I run a series. So I am on go all the time, anytime, and every time. So when you actually, I know we were trying to get our time set for today. I was off all day today, but I got a call. Actually, I called from both of y'all. They had to come into the warehouse real quick and load 3 trucks up real quick, unload and load 3 trucks real quick, and then I had to go cover for a mother-to-be because her water dropped here at the restaurant. So, like, can you come in? I said, yes. So, congratulations to Michaela.
What is the destination spot to get served by Dewayne Keith?
Oh, geez. For many years, I was at Longhorn Steakhouse in Newnan, Georgia. I was at Crust and Craft, which is a pizza beer joint over in Shortsburg, Georgia, and I just started over at the La Hacienda in Newnan, Georgia. So the hottest Mexican food in the city. Come see me primarily like Monday through Friday and all day on Sunday. In the evenings, because I am on a forklift from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Dang. That much of a schedule.
And in between, you can ask a lot of these promoters, they'll call and I'll pick up the phone, they hear that forklift going off, or they hear music and like, what are you doing? I'm at the bar. And like, well, what? You could have called back. I said, if I don't take your call now, you'll never get to me. I promise you. You better work with me.
Well, I mean,
because I'm not a good texter. I'm
right.
not a good texter. I'm definitely old school. I need to hear your voice kind of deal.
Well, that's good. I mean, people, if you were to be dating in today's society, to call them is almost offensive. You know, I hear out there. Spike Fast tells me all the time he can't call them or they get offended.
Yeah, I've actually encountered that in the dating world. It's like, well, you got FaceTime now, but that's after about 8 months of texting and messaging. Then we'll get to the actually want to hear each other's voices and look at each other and stuff. Then after that, we'll possibly meet in person. You know.
Well, I was lucky to be taken off the market by this dime piece prior to the influx of OnlyFans. How has that affected the dating world?
During COVID, there's a lot of bills got paid. I'll say that much.
Are they still getting paid? What happened? You have to deal with that.
Well,
you have to discuss. Like, that would be one of my first questions if I was on the dating scene. Do you have OnlyFans? Yes or no? Like, that would be like the question of if I'm in or out. Almost. I mean, almost.
Chad, that might get you hurt too. You know, these girls take that kind of offense, which they're might be perceived as being a slut or a whore or something like that because they have OnlyFans. I don't knock a woman for doing OnlyFans.
I mean,
you got bills you got to pay. Hey, pay them.
Yeah, but there's a respectable way to do it.
That's correct.
It's easy for we know how easy it is for these women to sell their goodies on a camera or at a strip club or any of these scenarios. That kind of gives you a good moral compass of where the girl you're talking to is.
I just miss the good old days of Magic City and shaking ass and titties, you know. That's the way we see this down south.
That's where you picked up the future
Atlanta
wife.
is known for the strip club, sir. Atlanta's known
Ryan.
for the strip club. I don't know. I thought you heard about the incident Matt Ryan was in at the strip club.
He was trying to tell me at Bristol. I was like, what? Really?
Yeah. Oh, shout out to King of Diamonds in Atlanta.
I don't know about the strip clubs. I don't want. I've been to strip clubs a few times because people wanted to go, and I've only given them dollars in sympathy. I just don't want to reward it. We empower that shit. If we didn't pay them girls to do OnlyFans, look, if we didn't pay these girls to be OnlyFans and we didn't give them a damn dollar to get up on a pole, they never fucking would. We endorse their actions that we don't like.
Hey, these strippers are getting pushy, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they ain't taking no crap now. Like, I put my, I sat on your lap. That's $20 right there.
I don't know.
So
I
you
guess
better come up
I
with
got a
these
dime piece
300
randomly.
pounds
I mean, I got a dime piece
did
randomly,
good.
so
You got
I
a
mean,
good one.
maybe I'm pretty or something, but I've never experienced that in the strip club.
Nah, I ain't actually dated a stripper before.
Well, I've never
had
experienced the
some girls
pushy
I've actually
strippers
been
that want
college
money.
to. I mean, that's kind of what they're there for, though.
Well, I know, but I'm kind of there to just sit and wait while my friends, go in the back VIP room for 30 minutes. That's my job at strip clubs. I'm not indulging into the sins of the flesh.
And that I can agree with. I'm usually there. I'm there to enjoy. They have some of the best chicken wings are in the strip club.
Really?
If you're in the A, the best chicken wings are at the strip club.
That makes me think
I ain't
of
talking
Cloud.
about them up.
What?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that makes me think of Cloud 9, which is a very prominent strip club at the Chili Bowl, and their sign out front says "Legs and eggs till 4 a.m."
Oh, good God.
Yeah, I mean that's not a good promo, man. I'm sorry.
It sells. It sells.
Well, you're telling me it's wings and things down there, I guess, or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
I mean, they do. Atlanta has great chicken wings, but some of the best ones are deep in the hood or at the strip club.
Okay.
I mean, and Chaz, they're not going to rob and shoot you for going to get chicken wings in the ghettoest spot in Atlanta.
Hey, man, I've lived out of a car in L.A., Vegas. I am not afraid of these areas that the traditional white guy is.
And shout out to Paul Clayton too.
Why Paul Clayton? Why Paul Clayton? His comments?
Oh, I know he's listening. He's talking about, I guess when we're going to get some chicken wings.
Oh God.
Shout out to you, Paul.
I might be making another Southern swing here. I don't know. We'll see. And I may have to come not to try the chicken wings, but some food in the area. I wouldn't mind going to a place you're working at. That'd be cool. Do a little video, a little Dewayne Keith behind the scenes.
Yeah, you'll see me struggling to speak Spanish and stuff along that nature.
Well, but I could do some badass slow-mos and angles of you doing the mixology, cocktails, Tom Cruise shit.
So there you go. That's what I'm talking about, brother.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll definitely be down this time around. I just got to it's just about all this finding time. When you get home around about 11:30, 12, you got to be back up like at 4:30. People wonder why I'm always looking like I got a mean mug or something. I'm like, heck, you slept in the last 5 days.
Right. You're tired.
Yeah, I've had people like, why y'all looking so mean? I'm like, well, it's not really a resting bitch face. It's just, I just need some sleep.
Yeah. Well,
I get it. I'm going to get it.
We've had you on here for 3 hours. I guess we got pretty much everything we need to know. Except who you're mad at. Except who you're mad at.
Yeah, I'm still hold on to that. That's one of the private conversations. And if I really like and trust you, kind of reveals. But I'm gonna save it on the big platforms.
Okay.
And shout out to everybody in the sport, and thank you to the ones that listen. Even though I think y'all got to meet the whole Dwayne. I didn't realize we were gonna go from intellectual conversations to life and strip clubs. So
hey, and who discovered America first? My drooper.
That is 100%. That is 100% correct, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
You gotta quit reading, Chaz.
Oh, no. No. People need to know what's going on. They don't need to be so stupid.
Knowledge is power in the books.
Yeah, knowledge is power, and the sad thing is that people listen to the knowledge that has been distributed by those who are not more knowledgeable than them. The winners write all the books.
That is 100% true.
That's what I say.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get me back on in the near future and probably to touch a little bit more on the race topic. I know that's a very still touch and go deal and some of the other stuff, but I'd love to be back to join you on any other podcast. I enjoyed myself.
I can come down there and we could do a live talk show in the Diamond Place, eating wings.
There we go.
There you go. I did.
Oh, I can't take the King of Diamond. That we gotta have some money going there. I was on somebody else's ticket there.
I'm bringing the money. You got to manipulate the situation there. You got to be like, I'm bringing a show. It has all these followers. You exchange. You barter your way in there.
That's true. We gotta look like big balls though. That's
right.
All that matters.
Yeah, like if a girl has an OnlyFans, she can mention it and do stuff for free. Exposure. I'm like Hunt the Front in the strip club. I bring exposure.
You definitely went on the exposing end.
Nah, I'm just playing. Apparently everybody's coming to the strip club now. Wow, we got the whole channel. All the viewers are wanting to know when this is happening. We could have a dirt track night at the Atlanta Strip Club. How about that?
I've been trying to tell people this.
I mean,
Atlanta. And they get all the way naked in Atlanta too. I know, like PRI, India. I said, "Where's the strip club?" I said they take ball. No, they can't do that here. I'm like, well, that's not a strip club.
Right.
That's what we call it. That's a titty bar. Then that's the actual term, titty bar.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And excuse me, everybody, that I've been a little vulgar too. I do it. I'm a little comfortable right now.
We're just talking shit, all right? So for anybody who's taking it seriously, take your ass to CNN.com. Fuck the hell off.
I just say, I want them more getting all too sensitive with, like, why you, whatever.
We could promote a Southern All-Star event at the strip club. Bring late models out front, have them on display out there, cranking them up. That's how I envision true promotion. That's true promotion.
Yeah, something, I actually could have had the dancers as Victor Langer from Southern All-Star. But I just don't think that it would have went well with the wives and girlfriends of the sport.
Oh, come on.
Although
apparently, and I see it. Like I'm an open-minded guy. I'm empathetic. I try to put my shoes in other people's minds, and see it. That's the only way you kind of learn is like dropping your perspective and viewing it from another. And apparently, having trophy girls is misogynistic in today's world, and it is. I mean, unfortunately, it is.
That's why Monster got rid of the Monster Girls when they were doing their deal with NASCAR, even though they were fully covered up and not any way promoting, supposed to not be promoting that type of imagery, but it still came. It was not enough for today's woke crowds. So.
Well, the thing is, and they have a point, they're like, a misogynistic output or view is a woman just being an object. And that's what that role is.
So what about Magic Mike? What was the black
We're not talking about the most destructive thing in human history known as hypocrisy. We're talking about misogyny right now because hypocrisy is running rampant. I mean, hypocrisy's everywhere you want to look.
I mean, sweatpants season and stuff, I didn't know that apparently sweatpants is sexually objectifiable now for men now. That's an object thing for them, so okay.
Yeah, why you wear your yoga pants drinking Starbucks? Kiss my ass.
Yeah, you wear yoga pants, but I can't wear gray sweatpants. They're comfortable because I'm trying to show my goods. Apparently that's an issue now,
Hell, I'm wearing the baggy sweatpants to hide how small it is.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey, man, you ever seen one of those?
I'm real evident.
Oh, never mind. I'm going to turn myself in.
I don't have that issue, Chad.
But that's your fault. I'm over here, trying to toss a hot dog. Never mind. Be quiet.
Be good, Chaz. Be good.
I'm gonna be quiet. All I know is all these TikTok videos going around. 3 inches is all you need. Makes me feel hung like a horse. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's if you know how to use it, sometimes that's enough to just. If it gets her off, that's all that matters.
Well, I don't know how much you've looked on the female side of the toy section at those stores, but there ain't nothing out there that could compare to what they built.
If you're getting that big, I'm not going.
I'm not talking about just big. I'm talking about everything it does. They push a few buttons, it's spinning, flipping, licking, tipping. It's doing everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a lot going on right there.
I'm just saying, if you want to be insecure against in that department, I mean, we've already lost. It don't matter what you got.
Man, the classic battle of man versus machine rages on.
Yeah, the Terminator will not stop until you are dead.
That's it.
Oh my! What about AI?
If it makes, I was about to say if there's any consolation to women, they've successfully created children off 2 male rats and 2 male penguins. So that should. I guess they're already starting to prepare what could be the end of mankind.
What is mankind? I really do think in the back of my mind we are just an ant pile, And when the ant pile gets to a certain point of bigness, it blows itself up, and then it just starts over again. It's just ant piles.
That's true. That's a good, yeah.
And as far as the alien thing goes, I would say it's like fish. Like, I can go right outside over here in this pond in Iowa somewhere and catch a largemouth bass. But that largemouth bass don't know a damn thing about all the other ponds out there with the same kind of fish. I think if there's aliens out there, they look exactly like us. They're just us in a different time or era of life.
I can see something like that, Chaz.
Now, there's sharks out there that may be bigger and stronger, and I'm just saying.
Something like Predator, just come in with dread heads and.
Well, and that's the scary thing behind the Kanye stuff is like, we are an example of the thing that is on top of the food chain is the mind, the smarts, not the strength. Not the fast, quick reactions, all this stuff that all animals supersede us in. We don't swim faster than sharks. We ain't stronger than bears or lions. We're just smarter than them, some bitches. So if something is above us, it's going to be something that is smarter than us. It don't have to necessarily be bigger or anything. It just has to be more intelligent. Which that certain segment of people, according to the IQ test, they score a little higher. Now, some people would say that's the Dracon bloodline or something, but you never know.
Yeah, or we could always implode off the planet of the apes when the apes rise up against man.
I mean, it was Caesar that said no.
Yes, it was.
It was Caesar that said
out
no.
Of everybody.
Oh yeah, scared them all. But was that movie like trying to tell us we're basically in a dome? Like the flat Earth is true?
Yeah. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised that if the Earth was actually flat, but whatever.
What about the owls and the spiders of the Illuminati?
Yikes. I'm not talking about that. I value my life.
You're in Atlanta. You're in Atlanta. That's where Netflix is from. Netflix, get it? Net. We just talked about spiders. Netflix. Break down some words.
Comment on that. And we're on YouTube too. Oh God, no.
Coca-Cola. Just saying.
I will not be happy with Coca-Cola until they bring back the original formula.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Look, man. Okay, so a history lesson about that. If people don't know that cocaine was actually used in medicines during the time when they created the original formula for Coca-Cola. So they've always been putting opioids in medicine. Cocaine actually used to be used in medicine during the late 1800s.
Right.
Go back and research it, I promise you. Some people don't realize that. That's why they like, they used to put coke in, real cocaine in coke. Well, they also used to put it in regular medicine, too.
Well, I mean, when it comes to drugs and stuff like that, to me, the most deadliest substance in the world or America is sugar, and little kids can eat that shit up all they want. So, I mean, when you look at what sugar, it's clinically more addictive than cocaine, but its effects, I mean, you could argue are just as deadly.
Speaking of little kids, I need to shout out my youngest cousin, Dewayne Keith. He is going to be the next one in our family to get behind the wheel of some type of race car. He's going to be driving the Bandolero at the age of 11 now.
And he's going to tune in here to hear you talking about strippers and Illuminati and cocaine.
Oh, Jesus. He don't know his daddy well yet, but that's another story for
Oh, my God.
But I got to give a huge shout-out to him, man. I think he was at Lanier this past Saturday, getting his first laps, and he'll be down there at Chris Motorsports Park down in Cordele, Georgia, or the old Watermelon Capital Speedway. And he's going to run around that big 410 on the Bandolero for the first time, too. So
Okay.
I'm going to help usher in the next generation of stars, and hopefully his dad will be able to provide a lot more money to his race career that I couldn't quite get in my go-kart career. That's why.
Well, we got to start on making this dirt thing a little bit more respectable, because in case he's about to fall into multiple millions of dollars, he's going to be a lifetime AAA player according to this world we live in. Don't matter how good he is. He could be Tom Brady. If you're Tom Brady in the racing world, it don't matter. Where's the money?
That's it, boss.
Yeah.
But let me let you go, brother.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. Are you going to the Bristol race for Davenport?
Davenport? No. It's not because of Davenport. It's just because I'm just not looking forward to it.
I know they're gonna pull him out into the deeps and drown him. That's how I'm viewing it. That's how I'm viewing it. You can't drive. He's gonna be going 5 seconds slower. 5 seconds slower. If it was Dallin Murray, I'd be hyped up about it.
Well, I mean, his advantage is that it's easier for a driver to know the vehicle and adapt to the track than having to adapt to a vehicle and know the track or something along that deal.
Yeah, but an asphalt car on a dirt track is still an asphalt car. Just like when that dirt late model went and hot lapped at that asphalt track, it looked like it was on a dirt track, sideways, all left front up, right, left rear hiked. I mean, it's still an asphalt car on a dirt track.
That's it. For those drivers that know that car are still going to be pretty dominant.
Yeah, Kyle Larson might be okay.
Yeah, his whole learning, like I think the last 2 years has been won by guys that didn't really know dirt or something like that, or haven't actually raced on dirt, like Joey Logano the first year. And well, Tyler Reddick has dirt experience, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. The dirt, but they're going to portray it like that's the biggest dirt race ever, and that whoever wins that race is the best dirt racer there is. So it did the same thing to Kinzer in the 90s. They brought him over there just to embarrass him. Straight into the Cup Series, 7 races. Bye.
Yeah, in the IROC races he ran, but he did win one. I think
he won IROC. Yeah, when it's a fair and even playing field, but those cars ain't fair and even at all.
No.
So, anyways, you're saying you got to go. That's fine. We're having a SAS stripper meet sometime soon this year. We're going to set it up, and it will be fun.
That's it, Chaz. That is it.
Big round table at a strip club live on YouTube.
Hey, some of the biggest record deals got made at the strip club.
That is sad. So you're saying I need to come out with the song before I go in there?
No.
Alrighty then. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Dwayne for showing up. I didn't know if he would. You know, people have always, I'm going to do it, and they back out. So luckily he did show up.
I was afraid.
What was that?
I said I was one of the few brave ones.
You were. I mean, it's getting risky now to get on here, after the Izzo situation, I mean, Shots will barely return my calls. I bring out the best of everybody, but it ain't the best in the eyes of these masses out here running this world. It ain't the best. The people speaking up ain't good for them.
Right.
And that's the truth of the situation.
That's 1% the situation, man. We're going to see what we can do out of this, and hopefully everything comes out better.
Hopefully you're not in any situations. You didn't name anybody. You stayed clean as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I think I stayed pretty green, and
we might have pissed off the females and the white guys, but that doesn't matter.
I mean, I do that anyway, just by me being me without saying any words. That's just happens.
We can't be perfect in man's or woman's eyes. All we got to be worried about is being perfect in God's eyes. That's what I'm saying. Screw all you some bitches.
Right, Chaz. I'm going to tear you loose, brother.
Well, thanks for calling in. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next time. Be sure to like, comment on the video, share the video, and as always, be sure to subscribe. Don't know what our next video is going to be. We may be shut down after this one, and if we are, the Illuminati is real. Kyrie told the truth, and Kanye is factual.